50 beers on a Tuesday afternoon. 50 beers on a Tuesday afternoon. Fuck yeah!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 11. Sound loud? I feel like I test all the settings before the live stream, and then they're always different when I start doing. Oh, there, that's too quiet though. Some people have said on the podcast sites that the sound isn't high enough, so I'm not sure if I just have it in my headphones or up too much. I don't know. There we go. I think that's maybe sure. We'll go with that. Welcome to episode 11. I think we got a good one here. I'm a little worn out from a long 4th of July weekend. I don't know how everyone else is feeling, but this is like day 4 of too much boozing for me, so I don't think we're going to get anywhere close to 15 today. We'll see. We're going with the Labatt Blue Lights. Nice, refreshing. It's kind of fucking hot as shit down here. Yeah, we're talking to some people that are doing a lot of traveling. Samm Bones, I think, is going to be our first guest. And I think this is the first guest that I've never met in real life, so... She seems to be doing lots of interesting stuff, so we'll give her a call right now.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Enjoying the cloudy day of Portland weather right now.
Oh yeah, is it getting super hot out there?
Nah, it's like 60 and drizzly
nice.
as usual.
Nice. New York's been like 90 for a month straight, pretty much.
Oh, yikes. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, Pittsburgh was like 95, I think, yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it's no good. And you were just there. You left Pittsburgh not that long ago, right?
Yeah, I was there like a month and a half ago, something like that.
Gotcha.
Took my time to get here. I got here about a week ago.
Yeah, I saw you hitting some spots on the way out. Like you hit some. That was kind of like when a lot of the protests were going on. I saw you hit a couple spots on the way out. Where'd you stop?
So I took my time. I went down to Spruce Mound, West Virginia, spent some time camping, and then I went down to Marion, Virginia.
Okay.
Where a small Black Lives Matter protest was happening, and Marion is a tiny little town, and they were protesting a slave owner statue, and they had counter protests. So I joined them on that one. And then Rayshard Brooks was killed that week, like a couple days later,
Atlanta, right?
I was. Yeah. And that was the shooting in the Wendy's parking lot, for those that don't know.
Yeah. Like a drunk driving stop or something like that, right?
Well, so it wasn't even drunk driving.
He wasn't even driving, yeah.
He wasn't even driving. He was sleeping in his car, and they just called him to just clear him out of the parking lot. The 911 call was about.
Yeah.
And, he resisted arrest and was shot in the back.
Yeah.
And killed. He was celebrating his daughter's birthday that day. That is why he was so drunk.
Jesus.
But so that was in Atlanta. So I rushed down there and joined them in a couple of protests. And then where did I go from there? I went and camped in the Ozarks. And then, I bid my time to the Trump rally. So the Trump's rally that was supposed to be originally scheduled on the Juneteenth.
Yes.
It got bumped to the 20th, and I waited it out until the 20th so I could.
That was in Oklahoma?
That was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh, goodness. What was that experience like?
Ooh, I haven't really gotten to talk about this.
Yeah.
Basically, so the Box Center is where the rally was, so Trump's actual rally was. There wasn't enough people to fill the outside stage, but they had the center itself gated off about, I'm not very good with distance, but, some mini city blocks. And surrounding the gate that they had with Secret Service and military and, the whole 9 yards of protection and blockades and stuff. They had Trump supporters basically tailgating the place. It looked like a tailgate party that you'd see in absolutely. Looked like a 4th of July celebration out there. People selling hats and Trump MAGA stuff and, the whole 9 yards. It was kind of nightmarish for someone like me.
Yeah. Was there were there a lot of people counter-protesting? Or protesting?
So,
I mean, I guess it's not counter-protesting. Yeah.
Right. So the area was so large during the daytime. I showed up and I joined what is called Refuse Fascism and RevCom. You can look them both up on Instagram. Right on. They are supporters of new communism and revolution and whatnot. Gotcha. And they're basically their motivation right now is just to get Trump and Pence out right now, out of office. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So I joined them, but from what I gathered later was that there was a lot of us, different groups, whether it was Black Lives Matter or Refuse Fascism or just, I met people that came from other countries just to fucking pardon my language.
You're good.
Just fly in and protest by themselves. I met a guy that came in from, where did he come from? It's just Texas, the older gentleman. He was just so upset. He just drove all the way up and came out. But there was different groups of us all over, and then by the end of the time that everyone was going into the rally, we seemed to all be able to congregate together. And I would say I'm not very good with numbers either, distance numbers, all that stuff.
It's hard to count big groups. But
I would say it was a full venue force, a full 500-person venue of supporters and counter protesters. Gotcha. So maybe 250 people-ish of counter protesters.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
That rally for him, it was didn't some video gamers troll him and reserve a bunch of tickets so they thought the crowd was going to be a lot bigger than it was? Was that?
Yeah, and a lot of locals and local activists definitely bought up his tickets. And that being said, that definitely did a lot of damage. He said that we weren't letting them hit them into the protest.
Yeah, but that wasn't the case.
No, it was not the case. I mean, it was if we had the power to, take down the National Guard so we couldn't let Trump supporters in.
That's ridiculous.
We would have a lot of damage done. But so by the time that evening came around, a lot of the Trump supporters were drunk, and there was a lot of confrontations happening.
Oh, Jesus!
I watched 2 women get attacked and hit by Trump supporters.
Oh, goodness!
Full fists. In front of the cops, in front of the National Guard while they stood by.
Wow.
I watched a gentleman, maybe 20-something years old, young. He got maced for no reason. A couple of biker guys came out, just ammoed up, the bullet belt and everything. And intimidating these people, saying just awful racist stuff. And a lot of the Trump supporters and the BLM supporters would engage and actually have political, polite conversations. And it was there a couple of them hugged it out. I didn't hug any Trump supporter by any means, but I was there just peaceful. I'm there to support. I'm an ally standing by to make sure that our, BIPOC people are safe from bodily harm. So what I do is usually just come in when someone starts getting physical or aggressive. I come in and put my body in between them. But that being said, by the end of the night, so when Trump was done, the Secret Service rushed through us, and by this time we already had a motorcyclist try to run us over.
Oh, jeez.
And so we're all really skittish, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so Secret Service rushes in, and then they rush in a whole bus load of National Guard, fully armed and ready, in the middle of us. And then so you have the Black Lives Matter folks in the middle, and then surrounding us is all the Trump supporters, and they're kind of drunk. And now we have Secret Service on our, like, I guess it would be like the west side, and then on the east side comes in the cops with the riot gear, and then in the middle of us is the National Guard.
Oh dear!
And then around us is the Trump. Yeah, and it starts getting dark, and that's when media and things, everything happens. But the media luckily stuck around. We didn't get tear gas because there were supporters out there, Trump supporters out there.
Yeah.
But we did get rubber bullets, and kudos to these guys. Like, these motherfuckers did not fear those cops at all. We marched right through those cops, all like rubber bullets and everything.
Wow.
Marched right through them, got everybody out safely. We had a couple of people follow us in cars and motorcycles trying to come in, but we did blockades.
Yeah.
And we got everyone safely down to Greenwood. And for those that don't know, Greenwood is known as the Black Wall Street, where the massacre happened in Tulsa so many years ago.
Yeah.
So it was really beautiful. And when we showed up, there was like a barbecue going on and a huge party, hip hop playing. It was beautiful. It was just that we met all of these wonderful locals, families and stuff, hundreds and hundreds of people in the streets just there in support, waiting for us to make it back.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely like a weird historic thing, it's an interesting time to be traveling the country and get to stop at some like kind of important historic things like that,
Yeah, it was. I still haven't really digested it.
Yeah, I bet.
Fully.
I mean, because then you're on to the next stop, making your way out to Portland, right? So there's just like the next thing the next day, right?
Yeah, and then I got here a week ago, and I've already been like doing the 12-hour days of protesting. We have so much going on here, and
is there? There's a lot of like daily protest stuff going on in Portland right now.
Yeah, it's actually the most organized that I've seen it, which makes sense. I was here for Occupy 10 years ago, and this is way more organized, thank God. But they have like a handful, more than a handful of different nonprofits that are putting on organized marches during the day, and then at night everyone meets at the Justice Center where things get pretty rowdy. I'm not going to say too much, but I definitely am still sick from some tear gas.
Oh yeah, okay, right on.
From the other night. But they've definitely declared almost every night a riot, and they've tear gassed. And the other day they popped the tires of the snack van. Actually,
oh wow!
Well, everyone was trying to get out.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fireworks and flags burning, and 4th of July really was pretty
it was like
crazy.
A very chaotic time. Yeah.
Yeah.
What made you decide to leave Pittsburgh and head out to Portland?
Oh, that's a good question. So I bought a house there
in
a year and a half ago. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I lived in a truck in the alley in Polish Hill area for a good while, saved up and got my house.
Nice.
And then I live on the outskirts in kind of an underprivileged neighborhood. We had a lot of crime, a lot of like a little bit of murder, a lot of looting, like just kind of crazy shit. Happened last summer, and it started. Everyone lost their jobs because of COVID, and so I could just feel it intuitively.
Yeah.
Getting just the tensions were rising.
Gotcha.
And I spent 2.5 months by myself in quarantine, and I just wanted to get out of there. And I am actually originally from Portland.
Gotcha. So your family.
And I wanted to be closer
to
my family. And, they're getting older. My folks, more specifically, they're, reaching almost 70. And, I don't know. It's kind of scary to be like 1,500, 2,000 miles away from your family and everything you know.
Right on. So are you staying with them now?
I'm actually moving out as we speak. I took a break. I found a room to rent.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna play both. I have a renter in my other house, so I can just kind of play both.
Nice.
Places until COVID. I don't know. I don't.
What the end is going to look like? Or I don't think anyone does.
Yeah.
It seems like
with
the
mutation
fall.
And everything too.
Yeah, the fall is probably going to be back to like how it was in April or whatever. It seems like.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we're like climbing the numbers where we're going to be 100,000 cases a day.
Yeah.
And like, I think how I got my house, I had to get a jobby job.
Yeah.
And my jobby job was I was a CNA in the cardiothoracic ICU. So we did a lot of lung and heart transplants, and I've seen a lot of intubated patients, and I've seen a lot of like overwhelmed. That unit more specifically is like the largest unit in the Pittsburgh Allegheny County area.
Okay.
Or basically all your COVID patients are going there, and they were already overwhelmed with an overflow room before any of COVID happened.
Oh wow.
And you don't even hear about that hospital because that hospital is like on a very like microcosm scale.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of the world, so I can only imagine what actual overwhelmed unit looks like.
Yeah, that's got to be scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How is Portland, like, is Oregon, are there a lot of new cases there? Is that like one of the states that's climbing, or have they been pretty good?
Yeah, so they've been pretty good. The thing with Oregon, so Oregon is like pretty low on the list. I think Pennsylvania is like 11. Oregon's like in the later 20s. You know, they had 215 deaths in the whole state so far. So it's really low. But they are having cases climbing. If you leave the Portland area, that's when like you kind of get out of like the progressive area.
Yeah.
And no one, like my first stop, I went camping right when I got to Oregon, and then the next morning I was like, I want a cup of coffee, you know?
Yeah.
So it's Oregon, you got to have a cup of coffee. So I go to Bend, and I get a cup of coffee, and I walk into this fucking place, and there's like, everyone's, you know, it's the your everyday white hipster coffee shop.
Yeah.
But there's like 30 people in there, there's no one social distancing, and not one motherfucker, including the employees, are wearing a mask.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesus.
So outside of Multnomah County, which is the Portland metro area, the cases are climbing, you know.
Yeah.
So
Oregon's kind of weird too, right? Where like, you know, Portland is very progressive, but then when you get to like the outskirts, some like outskirt places, you get like that weird like kind of like militia thing going on almost, right?
Oh yeah, that's like really, yeah, not a lot of folks know that. Yeah, you got like we have a lot of white supremacy in the hills out here.
Yeah.
Growing up out here was kind of wild because like I went to a predominantly like culturally diverse school growing up because I'm from North Portland. North Portland is like where North Portland and Gresham are the two areas where like more African Americans and Hispanics lived.
Okay.
Lived before gentrification.
Gotcha.
But it was interesting growing up there, and like, you know, I'd be around that, and then I even had like long distance family that is like fucking extremely racist.
Yeah.
Not in my immediate family or anyone I talk to, but you know, I'd be around that area or like around my own environment, and then like reach out to family like that lives in like Canby or like rural Oregon, and you know, they're just like 2 steps away from having a Nazi tattoo.
Yeah.
You know?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
And then we have a huge Hispanic population out here too, but that's not in comparison to the East Coast, I should say, I guess. But
yeah.
But that's like, it's pretty much just white and Hispanic in all the rural areas.
Gotcha.
And that's it.
I once drove a car for a friend. She got divorced, and she was originally from Vancouver, Washington, which I think is right across the river, right? That's pretty close to Portland.
Yep. So I'm literally like 3 miles from it right now. 2 miles.
Yeah, we drove. She had this old Volvo, and so she like ended up flying back to her parents' house there, and we drove her. She like bought us plane tickets, and we did like a cross country trip and drove her Volvo back for her. But where she lived, right around the corner, was like where Tanya Harding would go to get her Newports every day. So like if you were at the gas station at the right time, you could see Tanya Harding buying cigarettes.
Say the last part again.
Hey, if you went to the gas station at the right time, you could catch Tanya Harding buying her cigarettes. If that, you know, kind of like celebrity sighting.
Yeah, Vancouver's wild too because Vancouver's shifted so much now because whoever couldn't afford Portland, Oregon, has moved over to Vancouver.
Okay, so it's kind of like gentrified or like like property values. Yeah, gotcha.
It's like I compare it a lot to like how San Francisco was like back in the day. It was a port town. You know, my dad was like a shipyard worker. Most of our families were, you know, shipyard or lumber mill or whatever. Like it was a port town for imports and exports of industrial material. And then the tech industry came in like 2010-ish, and really gentrified it. They already had like some kind of influx coming in, but in 2010 it really just blew up,
boom,
where like my rent for a house went from $800 to $2,400.
Jesus.
Like, like just one swoop, you know.
Yep.
So
that's what I'm like 90 miles north of Manhattan here, and with this whole quarantine thing, like every single house up here that's for sale is like getting bought, you know, like everyone, now that they're like working from home, they don't want to be in the city anymore, and they have all this money, so they just come here and like buy everything. So
how's that doing for your local economy?
I mean, I guess it's good as far as having people with money come in, but if you've lived here for a long time and you haven't bought in a house yet, you know, you're probably not gonna be able to afford one eventually, you know, because everything's gonna go up because of that.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, I mean, so when I came out here, because I live not in the most sustainable place in Pittsburgh, I can keep the house, it's fine, and that's not gentrifying or selling anytime soon, so it can sit. But like, I was thinking like, oh, you know, the economy is going to crash, therefore the housing market will crash, therefore I can probably afford property. But I didn't really, everyone has the same mindset as I do right now. So that idea definitely kind of got thrown out the window, because I was dreaming of living in a school bus on a piece of property out here, but that's going to have to wait. Yeah,
it's definitely interesting where some people are, you know, haven't been affected by this at all as far as, you know, keeping their jobs or working from home. But then some people it affects, you know, like small business owners and stuff like that. Seems to affect a lot harsher, you know? Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I don't know how you view it, but like for me, this is literally just like this kind of, almost, I hate to get all super like not conspiracy, but like anarchist kind of. This is the anarchist teenager in me, but also this is our reality right now. Is that this disease is killing those that are disproportionate, or it's disproportionately killing those that are underprivileged and underinsured, and the working class. But we're expendable, you know, and our minorities too. But like, we're expendable, and now everything that's tech, like everything's going to this tech industry, where is predominantly ran by the 1%. And when you have like more and more people unemployed and dying off, you're going to create more crime, and criminals, quote unquote, to survive, which is going to endorse more policing, which is literally just making more of a police state conducive for an environment for the 1% to make more money. Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think COVID is really tied in with, you know, I mean, like the way that we aren't offered free, like I had to drive 45 minutes to go get a COVID test the other day. Oh, wow. And that's in Portland, Oregon. We're really progressive out here. Absolutely. I don't even know what it is in Pittsburgh, but I know at one point I was doing runs. I was like delivering food to underprivileged families, but the food bank, because the food bank was 45 minutes away, not reachable by bus. Oh, wow. The only one for the whole metro area. Yeah. So I just kind of think that this whole, everything that's going on right now is benefiting in the long run the 1%, where, you know, and people, that's why I think like protesting and revolution is so important right now, because if we don't wake up, we're going to be less than wage slaves at the end of it, you know? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, that's the scary idea just with technology, like, you know, self-driving cars. Imagine, you know, truck drivers losing jobs. Like how big of a population of the employed, you know, people employed is that, you know, that's so many, it's hundreds of thousands of jobs that like will eventually most likely be replaceable at some point. Like what do those people do, you know, like what replaces that? Like as what do you say? Oh no, go ahead. Sorry. I just said as technology is going to definitely take jobs away, or make, you know, a lot of you know, lower skill jobs are just not going to be necessary anymore, but there's still going to be people that need to work somewhere, you know? Right. Well, and that's the thing. I was just, you know, if you watch enough National Geographic, there's like all these numbers, and like I said, I'm not good with numbers, don't quote me, but it's like something like 72% of jobs in 50 years can be replaced by robots, no problem. Like that's just not,
that's not that's happening. That's already in the works, you know. And those jobs are our jobs. Those are our service industry. That's our cashiers. Those are our baggers, you know. Those are even our surgeons to that point, you know.
That's crazy.
We already have robot surgeons, which just creeps me the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll just turn on us quick, so it won't be a lot of suffering. You know, they'll just go full Skynet, and the robots will get rid of us before everyone has to starve because they don't have jobs.
God, that's my worst nightmare. I was afraid of technology for a long time. I just like kind of had to. I was a kid with, not kid, but grown-ass adult with a fucking typewriter, and that's how I printed. That's how I started writing, like, books and stuff. You know, I was like, I was that person, and I'm just now giving in to the internet stuff and trying to get good at it. But the thing is also with it, like, if you're trying to make a living, like, as an artist or a musician, and I'm sure you know, like,
absolutely.
you have to do a lot of social media and Etsy pages and Instagram and all that stuff, but that alone creates anxiety. And for those that are already, like, induced to anxiety, which is our lower income people, like, it's just like this, like, impending doom cycle for mental health.
Absolutely.
And physical health.
And you're doing a bunch of stuff now. You're doing music, and you're doing like your homeopathic like tinctures. Is that correct?
Homeopathic is a different form. I do herbal medicine.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, along the natural medicine side, yeah.
Yeah. So you probably have to run a bunch of Instagram pages for all the different aspects, or do you have like one umbrella thing that like you post about everything in?
Yeah. So I have one umbrella, which would be www.sammbones.com.
Okay.
That is the one umbrella, but I do have multiple Instagram. I have 2 Instagram accounts, and then I have because I do so much nonprofit stuff, I have literally 10 Facebook pages. And a lot of them are old. I don't have to keep up with them. They're just like, we're made for a cause at one point or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just started a YouTube channel called Travelin' with Bones.
Oh, yeah.
And I've only done a couple of videos, and that is just because simply, like I said, I just hate the internet and I haven't made more videos. But it's gonna cover not only politics, but just like I do crazy stuff all the time, and
absolutely.
People have asked me, like, told me I should have a show for a lot of years, and I always didn't think about it. But then I see like these like kids, not kids, but whatever, playing video games on a YouTube thing, and they're making a lot of money, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
So I'm not all about the tech stuff, or I don't want to be like this, like, I think they call them like influencers or whatever, but it'd be cool to like make mortgage and a couple of bucks if I can doing what I do.
And I think especially like with things like the quarantine and the lockdown, like people are just looking for content. You know, people just want to like binge watch stuff, or they need stuff to do. And if the fall does get worse again, you're going to have everyone at home again, I think, looking for stuff. So it seems like a good time to create, stuff for people to watch.
Thanks. Yeah. And also, like, what I wanted to entail was I want to show, like, I do not, like, a lot of people, I have the impression that people think that I was promoting by traveling, that I don't promote social distancing. And I want to actually use this platform right now to like let folks know that is not the case. Everywhere I went, I was wearing gloves and I was wearing a mask. I literally hand sanitized every little thing that even came in or out of my car. And I camped for the majority away from people the whole time, staying away from the public as much as I could, getting groceries the same as I would at home, like a week at a time. Ice was a little trouble. I did have trouble getting ice. I had to have to get that at the gas station. But that being said, I did also want to show folks that the world, like, how it's working right now.
Yeah.
Like, the world is very different. Like, I've never traveled during a pandemic, and, that was a learning experience, and I kind of want to show folks, like, what is going on outside of their 4 walls.
Yeah. That's great. So did you do episodes, like, when you were in Tulsa? Like, did you film an episode then?
So I did. I have not posted it because I haven't figured out how to blur people's faces, and I don't want to incriminate anyone.
Okay.
So I have to just kind of get tech savvy and learn how to do that, because I would love to show how it went down with the police brutality as far and the Trump supporters attacking the BLM supporters, but it's really caught. I have to be very careful on who, especially with smart. Trump being, trying to have all these charges against these federal charges of terrorism and nonsense going out.
Yeah, I think a girl from Catskill, which is pretty close to here in the city, threw a Molotov cocktail at a police car that caught on fire. I don't even think it caught on fire, but there were 4 police officers in it, and they charged her with, I believe, 4 counts of attempted murder. And they didn't even start. It didn't even start a fire, So it's I don't know. Right.
So I think I have a friend that knows that person. It's a small anarchist community here, but and that's the thing. And then there's all this hearsay, and when you have just a picture, someone sent me a picture of my face. It looked like my face wanted by the government.
Oh goodness!
And they're like, "Hey, is this you?" And I was like, "No,
that's got to be.
This isn't me." But holy shit, But the way that the administration is going, they could very well just say that's me.
Yeah.
That's just it's just whatever they want.
It would be hard for you to prove that it wasn't. I'm sure. I can see they. Yeah.
Right, and so and there's this fine balance of journalism, right? There's this fine balance of with this kind of subjects of you don't want to incriminate them, but you also want to show what is really happening in the streets. I've seen some insane stuff that I can't even talk about right now because I'm not sure how this could be if this could be taken to court. And put attested to somebody.
It's
against me or others.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy time to be alive.
It is.
What'd you say?
How are things where you're at as far as quarantine goes?
We're in upstate New York. Everyone seems to have this idea that's New Yorker people here are just smarter, so it's going to be fine. I think people are going out more, and restaurants are starting to open. And you'll go to the gas station, and you'll see 3 or 4 people without masks on. You'll see people with the nose out. So it's everyone says oh, everyone here is just being more careful, but I don't know, at least visually that's not what I see. So I think that things it seems like things are going to get bad again.
Yeah, very easily. Especially now that it's been proven it's airborne.
Exactly. I started delivering for this bar restaurant, The Anchor, once this happened, and they stopped doing dine-in stuff. And the woman, Brandy, that runs it is kind of thinking ahead a little bit. Even when restaurants have opened, we're still just doing takeout and delivery, and she's going to maybe wait another week or 2 and see if everything opening has any impact, and then decide whether or not to open, rather than just jumping on it as soon as they were able to. She's kind of taking the cautious approach. Yeah, it's nice with that, you get people calling 20 times a day asking for seating. It shocks me that people are so eager to eat out, so quickly. Seems crazy to me. I don't know.
Oh, I know, the bars are full of fucking hipster fucks out here, and I'm I almost yell. I'm at my folks' house right now, and this sister was letting their kid in my parents' yard, which is fine, but none of them were wearing masks, and I just wanted to be hey, if you're gonna come onto my family's property when they're at risk, can you fucking not?
Yeah,
can you just wear a mask, please? It's just, I don't know. Everyone thinks they're the exception, and
exactly.
And I've been guilty of thinking I'm the exception before, but this is a global pandemic. No one is the exception anywhere.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think that this 4th of July weekend everywhere, we'll see 2 weeks, 3 weeks, how that impacts everything. I expect it to not be so good, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah. I hope you're wrong too. Yeah. Definitely keep us all in the loop on that.
Yeah.
Good to know how things are, doing, so we can have model.
Exactly.
Examples,
So have you been doing a lot of live streams? I saw you were doing one alongside. Was that a river or a lake? What was that? The live stream?
Yeah, that was the Willamette River. That's where us kids used to party.
I think you mentioned having a fight off junkies to drink 40s there.
Yeah, that was kind of our childhood, was like, that's the rubble of the shipyards. But yeah, so no, I actually have not been doing live streams because I've had so much political posts that I didn't
Gotcha.
want people to send me money because of the politics, because I want people to invest in our BIPOC community,
Yeah, okay.
Black, Indigenous, people
Yep.
of color. But I have bills too. So I did do that live stream the other day, and I'm probably going to start doing more because, you know, finances are about to get pretty tight, and especially if I'm going to be renting a room out here to be close to my family. But I definitely have tinctures for sale. I have a mini apothecary with me. It's a little limited, but I have like probably like 35 products that I can haul out right now.
Nice. And that's
you know,
all
I'm
on
gonna start making some art and stuff.
SammBones.com is the best way to like go about that stuff.
Yep, and you know, if I have, so it's SammBones.com, and you know, if I have any kind of art for sale or anything, I will post that up there too. So that's just like a really great umbrella platform to check out any of my stuff, whether it's writing, art, whatever.
How'd you get into the tincture stuff? Like, what led you down that path?
Yeah. So, I guess alcoholism, really.
Okay.
I'm 4.5 months sober right now.
The other day. That's great. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. I've done sobriety before, but I've never done it for myself. So this is the first time I've done it for myself.
Okay.
But that being said, so I was living in New Orleans, and
it's a hard town to be
doing
sober
the New Orleans thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been sober in that town before. I was actually a bartender on Bourbon sober there, and it was fucking. I had kiddos taken care of, so that really helped a lot.
Yeah.
I'd rather just go home and hang out with them than go to the bar. But anyways, I'm digressing. So I guess really what led to it was I was trying to deal with my anxiety because I actually had like kiddos and people around me that loved me. And I actually had responsibility to be responsible for my emotional health. So I started reaching out and looking into stuff, different ways to like deal with my anxiety. And then that relationship ended, and which impeded more anxiety. So I really dove into it, and I met a bruja, essentially, which is the Hispanic version of a quote-unquote witch healer is really what they are. Mm-hmm. And she's a dear friend of mine. Anyway, she kind of taught me some stuff here and there, and really helped me. It really helped me. And then her and I went down to Costa Rica and went to the jungle, the Talamanca region.
Wow.
In Manzanillo, Costa Rica, on the Caribbean side. And we lived down there for about a little over a month, and learned about tropical medicine from some locals. And I just dove into it after that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it different? Like, you know, I'm sure there's different plants and whatnot in like Pittsburgh compared to Portland. So does that change up? You can make different things, or are you like ordering stuff from all over? Are you like ordering ingredients?
So I love that you brought that up because it's really important. So when we talk about cultural appropriation, that's really huge in the plant world because a lot of people are like burning sage. White sage is like a Native American plant that only grows in one section of California. Or you have Palo Santo, people use that. Like, this is energetic medicine, but like same shit. It's like same plants that people are taking from all over the world. And it's really important if you do ethical practice in your herbal medicine, you make sure that you cultivate or wildcraft herbs from your environment that's around you. You know, like we all, like, you have herbs that are for diabetes and for your liver and for your anxiety in each region.
Yeah.
So instead of like going to this other regions
and taking their stuff from there, yeah.
Exactly. So so that's pretty cool about traveling around too. So I get to geek out on that.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh definitely has a very biodiverse plant life that I got to know, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then Oregon's completely different. You know, when you go down to I was just in the Southwest and I picked up some desert medicine as well.
Nice.
those are all for personal use. I don't. I try to be a little bit more ethical with the stuff that I sell.
Gotcha. And I believe my band went to Alaska with Lauren Jean from New Orleans. I think she got a lot of our contact information from you because you were living up there for a while. Is that what it was?
Yeah. So Alaska is my second, third, fourth home. I got a few of them.
Yeah.
I had a van up there for a while. I don't know if that's what you guys drove. I don't think so.
No, we rented from through Turo. It's like kind of like the Airbnb of car rental stuff. And then we rented a van from Dirty for the end of the trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I went to Alaska. The first time I went to Alaska was in 2012. I was hopping freight trains and I met an Alaska native. He's Aleutian.
Okay.
In Alabama, Birmingham, I think.
Okay.
And we just hopped trains and then eventually got Dirty actually gave us a car in Portland when we eventually made it up there. He gave us a car. I can't believe they let it through the border. It's like, I'm fucking like, I don't know if there was anything legal about that car at all.
Yeah. Well, that's what we went to get his oil changed on his thing. We brought it to Walmart in I think Fairbanks, and he's like, "Oh, the van's fine." Blah blah blah. The guy is underneath, and they start dumping oil into it to like refill it, and the oil thing's not hooked to the engine, so the guy underneath is just getting the oil poured on him. They had to like reattach the oil part into the car. Like, I don't know, it was a fiasco. Like, we're calling him, we're like, your van is not fine, but it all worked out. Everything worked out fine, but.
That's Alaskans.
Yeah.
Those motherfuckers. I've literally like helped like weld two cars together pretty much. I mean, I'm not really exaggerating just to like get one to work.
Yeah. I've seen like Boots operation and some of the stuff he drives. I went on a beer run in his that porta potty truck. it's like a flatbed that was like used to be used for hauling porta potties. Yeah, that was. Like in New York, you would get pulled over for thinking about driving that thing in New York, but Alaska, you can just cruise around in it.
Yeah, he actually is the one that taught me a lot. Most of what I do, what I know on cars mechanically. He's like, yeah, you can have a car. I got like this car, and there's parts. There's other junk cars around. You can just piece them together, and I got everything together. Asking him questions. I spent like a couple months out on the property, or I think it was a couple months. It was a while. And then I couldn't find a back windshield. And he was like, that's all right. And then him and Donnie just like cut off the back and turned it into a truck.
All right.
Put plywood on it. Called it good.
Go. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing up there. I definitely have wanted to go back ever since the 3 weeks that we were there a couple years ago.
Oh, you got to go. You got to go. That's family.
Yeah.
Once you meet those folks, that's family. That's how Alaskans are. That's how we roll,
Yeah, it's awesome up there. Where were you living up there?
Well, the first year we lived in Talkeetna in a van, and then I went back up by myself. That relationship ended, and I went up there in 2014. And I lived in Denali, and then I lived in Seward for a little while. This is like over the years. I lived in Fairbanks.
Nice.
I lived in Anchorage. Mostly van living. Lived on Boots property for a while.
Nice.
Everyone's really nomadic, even if you're from Alaska.
Yeah.
And like, if you're from Fairbanks, you've probably lived in like 4 different towns around Alaska.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just kind of part of that culture. Or a lot of people just live in RVs and vans, as you probably saw, and like just kind of bounce to whatever jobs around.
Well, that's what I'm pretty sure Johnny Longs, while we were there, was like hitchhiking from Fairbanks to Anchorage for band practice. Which is like, that's not, that's a what, like 8-hour drive? Like, that's not an insignificant, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's part of the culture too. And like Donnie, who I'm sure you met, who, for those that are listening, is just like a good old local. He's from, I think, Palmer. Or no, not Palmer.
You're talking about Donnie Wiggins, the mandolin player?
Donnie Wiggins.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Love Donnie Wiggins.
Yep. And he said it really well one day. I was like, man, fucking Alaskans are they're so friendly and like, whatever, and like they'll, no matter what, they can pick you up hitchhiking because it's part of the culture here. And he's like, if we don't help each other out and we don't pick you up, you might die.
It's not.
And that's how it is, you know. So, and that's just like created this like very communal way of living up there.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It kind of reminds me of like what I think the mainland must have been like what I imagine the mainland was like in the 70s or something. You know, it's like everything is like a little bit seems simpler in a good way, you know.
Well, and that's why I keep going back, is because we have such a good community up there, and yeah, it's just like, it's kind of the old ways. Like, I don't pick up my phone. I will like lose my phone for days at a time up there. Like, it's just so wonderful, but it's also really hard in the winter.
Yeah, I can imagine that. That's got to be brutal.
Yeah, and, you know, all the friends that we know and love, you know, it takes their toll on them. It takes the toll on some of the, like, the brightest lights that I've seen, that I've known, you know, and it burns them out, you know. Yeah. Real quick.
It seems like a lot of, I think it seems like some of the better pickers I've ever seen are up there, and it's like, you know, because you spend 5 months inside just playing guitar, you know, so you get some savage instrumentalists. Right.
And like when I first went up there, that's when the bluegrass scene was really popping. Like, it was there was a lot of money in music right then up there. It's kind of petered out, but it used to go up there and make like thousands and be really easy, and it's petered out for whatever reason. I think it has to do with somehow the bluegrass scene dying out, but yeah, those guys, when I first went up there, I didn't know a thing about banjo. I still don't, but I really didn't know a thing about banjo. And they're like, "You can play it?" I'm like, "Sure." And I hop in the circle, and they just like bluegrass me out of that freaking mountain. You know?
That's funny. Right on. Do you have any plans to get back up there anytime soon?
Well, now that I'm on the West Coast, it's a lot easier. So, you know, I was actually thinking about hopping up there and maybe getting a couple of weeks worth of work just to say hi and see my people. I literally make it up there at least once a year for the last almost decade.
And from Portland, what would you do? Would you take a plane, or what's the best way to get there from Portland?
I've done the drive. I've done the drive a few times. I guess it really depends on like cost effective. Like, I would love to do the drive, and because gas is so cheap right now, and do a lot of camping, because I've done it in a week, and I've done it in 3 days.
Oh wow.
And I've done it in 4 days, but I've never really taken my time by myself to camp, so I would love to do that. I feel like there's that pro and con thing, you know, and I also am like, with the virus, I would have to make sure everything's outside, as far as work goes too. So there's a lot of things to weigh out on that. I don't know. I definitely don't feel like plane travel is conducive to like stopping the spread of the virus. Yeah,
absolutely. The guy I live with had to go out to Nevada to like help his mom out of like a hospital situation, and he flew, I think it was like mid-March or something like that. It was like when everything was like super crazy, and it was like, you know, 2 or 3 people on the plane. It was like really madness, you know. So I guess it was kind of safe then, just because there was nobody there, you know. I bet now it's kind of gone back to normal a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know. And like with circulating air too. And like, you know, it would be fine if everyone would just be responsible. If everyone just wore a mask and hand sanitized and hand washed, like, we really would be able to go on a plane and not have to worry about it too much. But people are just not making those choices.
Savages, man. Savages.
Yeah, for real.
Right on. Well, it's been great talking to you. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I let you go?
Just a little politics. Hey, folks, you know, those that are listening, just, you know, there's so many roles to support our BIPOC folks. And for those that don't know what BIPOC means, is Black and Indigenous people of color. There's a lot of roles. You don't have to be at the protest. You don't have to be a frontliner. You know, there's numbers to call. There's things to do to support the Black Lives Matter and Native Lives Matter movement right now. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at Samm, S-A-M-M, Bones booking at gmail.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have and maybe guide you in the right direction.
Sweet.
Cool.
Sounds good.
It was nice talking to you.
It was. I think you were the first guest that I've never met in person that I've had on the show, so that was interesting.
Oh, word. Cool.
Yeah, right on.
Well, we'll meet on a very interesting day. Maybe we'll be able to hug it out.
Absolutely. I hope so. I look forward to it.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
Samm
you.
Bones. Later.
All right. Bye.
All right, that was Samm Bones. That was a fun one. I enjoyed myself. We've got Taillight Rebellion coming up next. I think I have a new spiffy in-between guest graphic that Lara Hope made me. I'm excited to use this for the first time. And what are we going to listen to? It's like I don't really have to pee yet, but I feel like I should just this is what we're going to listen to. All right, we're going to listen to a Taillight Rebellion song, and then we're going to give them a call. I'll be right back. All right, that was You're Not an Outlaw by Taillight Rebellion. We're back in episode 11 here. We're talking to some Nomads. We just talked to Samm Bones. You can find her music and herbal tinctures and artwork at sammbones.com, SAMMBONES.com. And now we're going to call Taillight Rebellion. I think this is the first time I'm going to try like a three-way call. And I could have done it not on camera, but then you guys wouldn't have gotten to be a part of the process here. So I'm doing this for you. All right. Looks like they sent me a picture of, what is this? Milwaukee's best premium 24 ounces. All right. They're getting a little wild here. What?
I'm sorry, the person you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Please try your call again later. Goodbye.
Hey now. Alright, we got all friggin' goofed up here somehow. Everything was running too smoothly. I don't know if the live stream is still going or not. Yes, it is. Okay. All right. That I've had on the show. So whoa. Huh. That's weird. All right. Well, somehow the live stream is still going, but I don't know how to get back in the like management page of it because I'm a fucking idiot. All right. Let's try calling Swagger again.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Fucking still half cocked from last night.
Oh yeah. I feel like this has been a long 4 days. What is going on with that? Oh shit. I'm getting like this weird static. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but
I cannot.
all right.
You're gonna call Johnny too? Or?
I think so. I just tried calling him and he didn't answer. But now that I have you on the line,
try again. He's on his phone right now. So.
Oh, okay. Dial to add call. I've never done this the three-way call stuff here, so.
I mean, I'm always down for a three-way.
There you go. Right.
Hello?
Hello. This is Johnny Swagger?
Excuse me, what'd you say?
Oh, I think I have the wrong number. All right.
This is Griffin McNamara.
Oh, snap. Why do I have this as Johnny Swagger's number?
I do not know.
All right.
Good luck finding him.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Thanks, bud. Huh. Hello?
Hello?
I just tried the number I have in my phone for him, and it was Griffin.
What's your number again, darling?
603
603
498
498
5317.
5317.
Huh. Okay.
Weird.
Let's try this now.
Can I call him?
Can Johnny?
I don't know. I think I'm calling him right now. This is riveting entertainment. I'm sure watching this is great.
Hello there.
Well, hello, bud. Okay.
This is the first actual phone call on this new phone.
Well, look at that. And here, if I just merge this... Hello? I think we're all here now. Is it possible? Yes?
Hooray!
All right. Look at that.
It's great because there's like a 2-second delay between Jess and myself right now.
Oh, yeah.
Echo.
Oh, snap. That's funny. If you watch the live stream, is like 30 seconds behind. So...
Perfect.
Yeah, so it's all fucked up. Somehow... And
yeah. I mean, that was me last night. All fucked up after fucking pints of my own goddamn cider.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you guys brewed your own cider. How'd that come out?
Honestly, it's like a dry apple wine, and it tastes utterly smooth and clocks in around 14%. So it's dangerous as fuck.
Okay. You have a song. Was it the legendary Fred Simard, right? The cider king?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get a recipe from him, or are you doing your own thing?
Oh, no, I've been brewing cider since I was 20, well before I met the legendary Fred Simard.
That's actually how y'all met, right?
Yep. That's entirely how we met. I posted on my old band's page a picture of me hugging 5 gallons of cider that I was brewing, and he's like, wait, you're an American that likes cider? He's like, do you know what poutine is? I'm like, I'm from New Hampshire. Of course I know what poutine is. It might as well be the state fucking food group.
There you go.
And next thing you know, he had us do a weekender with legendary folk punk band, the Dreadnoughts.
Okay.
Including playing for him at his home venue.
Right.
And then thus began my wonderful long-running friendship with Monsieur Simard.
Nice. Awesome. So what's the process like? Is it like a Colonel Sanders thing where you can't talk about it, or is it
Well,
top
here's the
secret?
problem, Kevin. I could tell you about it,
Then you'd have to kill me?
then I'd have to kill you.
Okay, yeah, that's not
And
worth it.
unfortunately, for, cider fans everywhere, I love you way, way too much to ever do that.
Fair enough.
Nah, it's literally you throw juice and sugar in a bucket.
Okay, so you're using apple juice, not fresh apples, or you juice the apples yourself?
Oh, yeah,
or?
yeah. No, this is a straight fucking hood rat operation right now.
Okay.
Beer price. Okay, to give you an idea, a 12-pack of 12-ounce cans of High Life here is like 10 or 11 bucks.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's pricey.
Whereas I can make 5 gallons for about 12 bucks.
All right. Nice. It's like a little prison operation almost, right?
Well, I mean, it's a bit better quality than that. I'm not using, sweat on bread and, fruit snacks
Fair
that
enough.
I stole off the commissary. Now, this I'm actually using...
Don't talk shit.
All right, miss, I've, spent a night in county. Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, Jess has you got the good prison wine recipes.
Oh, yeah, no. Jess is entirely our street cred at this point.
Somebody's got to do it. I saw your Heavy Rebel video. You guys sounded good.
Oh, thank you very much.
How do you decide between this? Are you just doing the sit down keys now instead of the accordion, or you go back and forth depending on the situation? What's that about?
Going back and forth.
Okay.
Honestly, I have a love affair with both instruments, so
kind of just whatever I'm feeling at the time.
Oh, that's awesome. You ever mix up sets and do like a little bit of both, or is that just more setup than you?
I mean,
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of trying to get to like Jan Tiersen levels and like play the bass side of the accordion with like a lead on the piano,
Oh, wow.
which would be fucking dope.
You can start playing shit with your toes.
or likewise, yeah, no, the whole thing came from while we were on tour. I remember those days. We were up in Fargo, North Dakota,
Okay.
and we just both looked at each other and had this like holy epiphany revelation of, you know, if Jess played keys, then we wouldn't need a bass player because the bass player would become her left hand.
Yeah. Huh. There you go. And what?
No disrespect. I was going to say, no disrespect to Rico, but he did bail on us that night, and that's what actually spawned the whole thing.
Okay, I got you. That's Richard. Is that who was with you at the time?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what?
Well, actually, he left us to now actually his current partner, but he actually left to hook up with her and bailed on a show to do it. And that's what started the whole keyboard thing.
All right.
Dylan's awesome.
And you guys are in right outside of Memphis now, right? Is that your situation?
Yeah. You know, rumor has it that we're on a music venue compound that has 7 dogs, 5 cats, and 2 goats,
Whoa.
and angry Viking Italian natives. Oh yeah, he's not angry at all.
Do you have to say that?
Marty and Stacey are the shit.
Okay.
I love them dearly.
And you were in Ohio. What made you decide to head down to Memphis? Just the situation that you
Well, when the people we were staying with were complete misogynistic anger case, possibly relapsed junkies.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's not a good scene.
Homeboy literally swung on me, and instead of just leveling him, I'm like, you know, this is a COVID time. Last thing I need to do is be in jail.
Yeah. Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
put shit in the car. We just put what we could in the car and left.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're down in
Basically,
Memphis.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah, absolutely. But now you have a pretty sweet spot down there, right?
Oh, dude, the sweetest.
Yeah. Cool.
This might actually be the nicest place I've ever lived. It
Nice.
really is.
Awesome. Are things open down there? Have you guys have played shows? Yes. No.
We only played at the compound
Okay.
right before the second spike hit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, you know, it's open space outdoor, so...
People kept to themselves and, like, their own groups and fucking wore masks and sanitizer. Like, it was, I guess, as safe as you can be, but, like, it happened at the perfect time.
Yeah.
If it were happening this weekend, it probably wouldn't be happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because things have spiked pretty seriously down there, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're in Shelby County, and it's the highest rate of COVID in Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
So...
Oh, excuse me.
And things like they were pretty aggressive. They were pretty aggressive with reopening stuff down there, right?
They were, but they're starting to shut down again.
Shut it down again, yeah. That's what I worry about it a little bit up here after, you know, I think
Cuomo's a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure he kills poor people for fun.
I know he does. Or
but
in the elderly.
This weekend seemed like people were, you know, maybe a little frivolously. I think people have mentally decided that everything's okay, even though the facts don't necessarily.
Well, I mean, if the
point.
government would fucking take care of us and, like, not count us as human capital fucking stock, then maybe we could survive this. But
Yeah.
Give my bitch ass food stamps and $200 a week, and I would gladly just keep working on being a better guitar player. I've been, you know, studying languages. You know, I'm just trying to make the best of this since I'm used to going full speed ahead all the time, and now it's just like, oh, so this is what retirement must be like. I hope I never do it.
Where are my dancing monkeys?
And you're trying to learn. You're trying to learn German, right? Is that what's going on?
Yep.
Nice.
Mostly because it is the widest spoken language in Western Europe, and assuming, you know, we're allowed in Europe again.
Yeah, that might be right.
That's been a long dream of mine to tour over there.
Nice, awesome, sweet.
So I'm sure Monsieur Samard is shaking his fist at me for not learning Quebecois French.
Yeah.
It's on the to-do list.
Gotcha. Have you guys? So you guys aren't getting any unemployment, or have you filed for any? I think there was some like grants for like artists. Did you try to get in on any?
They're so backed up right now that they're not taking any new applicants.
Gotcha.
And I applied for unemployment, and I'm still waiting to hear from New York State. So.
Oh wow, yeah, from back
like,
in
I'm technically still a resident, but.
Yeah, my roommate had a terrible time trying to get through to them. It seems like their system is just not. Yeah.
It's a fucking dick. Like.
The irony is that I'm waiting on trying to I'm still waiting on my stimulus check.
Oh wow.
Once I get that yeah, because I had to forward all my mail from Ohio, and that was 6 weeks ago. Now we're at the threshold where I could actually hit the IRS up again and be like, yo, where's my money?
Yeah, okay. And that, I mean, you guys are probably used to living on, pretty, you guys can probably live fairly cheaply, I would imagine, right?
Dude.
Touring as much as you guys do, like
these
you
people,
learn.
To quote Always Sunny, they're new poor. We're old poor.
Yeah, I get that. It's funny, like once this happened, I started working more than I was before. So I kind of, I don't know, things like almost like reversed for me. It got weirder,
I mean, one of the many things I appreciate about you is you keep that little corner of New York State as strange as possible, and it desperately needs to be.
I don't know if I do all that, but thank you. So what are you guys doing with your time? You writing new music? You gonna have a new album out? What's your?
Oh yeah, and it's definitely a different direction.
Okay.
You can really hear a lot of the soul, R&B, and hip hop I've been mostly listening to over the last few years in it.
All right.
And then because of that, some of your older ragtime type sounds are creeping in there.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, early Devil Makes 3 comes to mind.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Are you spitting some rhymes?
Always.
Yeah.
But no, you can definitely hear that, Mouse said herself, my flow has definitely changed as a writer.
All right, cool. And you guys are doing recording yourself? You've recorded the last few yourself as well, right?
Oh, I've recorded. Oh, wow. Hold on. All right, there we go. Still there?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I've been a recording engineer since 2008, 9. And I have recorded everything from 2 out of 3 of my last band's albums and everything Taillight Rebellion's done. I've actually done a sort of mastering work for a plethora of punk bands at this point.
Okay. Is that something you do for income? You have people send you tracks and depending on the situation.
Everything hustle, it's one of many different streams when it comes in.
Gotcha. Right on. What platform are you using? What recording?
I've used Reaper from the get-go.
Okay. And is that open source?
It's not open source, but it's free to use. And if you make less than $20K a year on it, it's a $60 license fee. It's fairly affordable.
Yeah, right on. Nice. Yeah, I just bought some Presonus audio box inputs, so I'm using
my primary one is the FirePod. I have the 8-channel. I got it in 2009. I've used it ever since. I'm having trouble finding hardware now that still has a FireWire interface.
Yeah.
What's it, Thunderwire now?
I just ordered the 8-channel audio box. I think it's getting here tomorrow.
You're going to be very impressed with it.
Yeah. That's what I figured. Just for drums, most stuff, you don't need that many inputs, but for drums, I think 4 or 5 might flesh it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm a big fan of close miking each drum, if I've got the inputs, having both sides of the snare, and a stereo imaged pair of room mics.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's what I have too.
I can nerd about recording for hours and hours. So.
I'm definitely, I can use some advice, but I'm not sure exactly what advice I need yet, hi-hat sound. What are you doing for hi-hats?
Ooh. So I learned this one's a new one that I learned. I've yet to try out, but I'm coming from...
I think I might be hearing you through
who-
both phones. Is that possible? I'm getting kind of like a weird echo thing going on. Are you guys like close to each other? Hello? Oh shit, no, I got nothing. Anybody?
Just,
Oh shit. Did I lose you?
she's still there.
Okay.
What you do for hi-hats and just general brass,
Yeah.
you take two
I think you're cutting out on me again as well.
the brass, point them away from the brass.
Okay, I'm sorry. You kind of cut out there. What'd you say?
I said, if you have two ribbon mics, what you do is treat them like overheads, but
Okay.
then point them away from your cymbals,
Mhm.
not towards them, and you'll get a much more rounded sound.
Okay. All right.
I learned that one from Bill Nobes of Dirty Old Robot Studios outside of Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah, I think the thing should be here tomorrow, and I'm going to do some experimenting with that. It seems like the two overheads I have are picking up the toms really well, so I don't know that I need anything extra for them. Probably something extra for the snare, bass, and it seems like a better hi-hat sound might be.
Hold on, I actually can't hear you.
What was that?
Still there?
Yes, but you kind of sound like a little echoey.
Okay, and hilariously enough, we are sitting in a car in a park in Memphis,
Okay.
and it's hot as balls.
Yeah.
If balls were, thrown into a lava-filled volcano in the middle of hell.
Yeah.
Yike.
So I'm actually sweating so much that it was blocking the speaker of my phone.
Oh, I got you. Jesus. Yeah.
Because us taillight folks are pretty nasty.
I imagine it's hot as fuck down there. Like New York isn't pleasant. I can't imagine what Memphis is like.
Oh yeah, it's like 96 and like 70% humidity.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, it's definitely.
It's a gator. It's a step and a gator, Florida.
Mm-hmm. Right on. So you say you have you're working on new recordings or like a new album. Do you have like a release plan for that, or because like nobody really knows when things are going to get back to normal, so it's kind of hard to plan out stuff like that. No.
The music industry has changed so many times. I didn't know what I was going to do for Burn, which came out last year, let alone what the hell I'm doing for this one.
Yeah.
When it's done, it's done. And then I'm actually going to just take an open solicitation, like, how do we get this out there and try to get some money for it because we broke?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, support my whiskey fund.
There you go.
Oh, that's why I kept turning down the volume. Yeah. The funny thing is I'm not even drinking whiskey these days.
No, you stay off the hard stuff?
Yeah. As I'm happier, I noticed, what's the old adage? Your old habits don't necessarily work anymore.
Gotcha.
And I okay, I don't even really smoke a lot of weed anymore unless it's cut heavily with CBD.
Okay.
I don't really drink hard liquor at all. I just stick to fermentables.
Gotcha.
It's weird being actually not miserable.
Yeah, it's great. Well, that's good to not, to be in a better situation, even despite the craziness of the world,
Yeah. Grateful, man. Just always try to keep that in perspective.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me to go back to being talked down to by the owner of a small, a rental company in the middle of the urban hellscape where I barely made enough to pay rent.
Are you talking back when you were up in Boston or up in Massachusetts?
Yeah. I do not miss those days at all.
Yeah. Well, it seems like
I do miss Bobby though.
What's that?
I miss Bobby though.
Yeah. Have you spoken with him recently? I think I had a video chat with him like a week or so ago.
I did right before he went back into detox.
Yeah, right on.
And I actually got a text while we've been talking, and he's like, "Yo, what up? How you doing?"
Nice. All
So
right.
I was gonna hit him up after this.
Sweet.
We're gonna get another round of loans, right?
Oh, I don't know about that. We got cider back at the house.
Oh, you're gonna get some more Milwaukee's Best? You gotta re-up?
Oh, dude. At $1.60 a can, I can't complain.
No, certainly not. Is that just the traditional Milwaukee's Best? It's not the ice.
The premium.
Yeah, I feel
Fuck
like
the ice, man. I'm not into iced beer as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to party, but the days of drinking things that make me want to shit myself immediately if I cough are over.
Yeah, for some reason up here, Bud Ice just like rolled in and like took over the 24-ounce game. So there's like,
oh, I believe it. It's been in North Carolina since we lived there, and it was like $2 a 40.
Yeah,
I drank so much of that shit, I can't touch it now.
It's very sweet. But like there's a bodega here, like a little gas station, like that everyone calls the Crack Sunoco, and it's like they're 99 cents for the 24, and they don't charge you deposit or tax. So it's like literally like you can get 6 of those for less than $6, $5.94 or whatever
bad.
it is. Yeah, it's too much kind of. You see them like. You'll see those cans are in the bushes if you walk around all over the place. Like that's what all the home bums drink. Like.
One of the things Mouse always says when we drive by an empty can is, "Oh, a can of Bud Ice in its natural habitat." Usually the gutter.
Yeah, pretty much. I took this like long bike ride the other day out to like this spot where there's like these caves that just like cold air blows out of, like 50-degree air. So on a summer day, it's like nice or whatever. And it's like
that sounds amazing.
This beautiful, everything's mossy rocks and, this big cave. It looks all beautiful. And there's just a fucking empty White Claw can sitting there. And I'm like, I kind of love that someone came here to drink a White Claw, but I kind of hate that they left the can. It's like a...
Right.
You almost...
Come on, man. I'm all for drinking in exotic places, but clean up your fucking mess.
Exactly, yeah.
Speaking of, I'm actually really happy to hear that you ride. I actually picked up cycling again, which it used to be my primary form of commuting, especially when I lived in Boston.
Yeah.
I actually cleared 30 miles the other day.
Oh, nice. Right on. Cool. Yeah,
that's on a mountain bike, not a road bike. So I'm doubly happy with that.
Yeah, that's what I have. The rail trail for me, it's like maybe a 1.5 mile ride from my house to the rail trail, and then that goes all the way to New Paltz. So yesterday I actually rode into New Paltz and like hung out with some friends, and then Lara came and picked me up later on. It was like 16 and a half miles about to get out there.
Good job, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty straight ride too. It's nice because like a little more than halfway through I'm like kind of over it, but I don't have any choice but to keep going. It's like you can't. It's like I'm more than
don't
half.
worry. The more you do it, the more you'll get the endurance.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's always wondered what my secret for being a spaz was. It's just that I've kept up with running and riding for most of my life.
Yeah, you've been doing the running for a while. You still doing that?
Oh yeah. It's a lot harder here in more than a few ways because of the humidity. Like when you're running in 96-degree high humidity, it's just like I can't drink enough water.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, I cleared 7 miles the other day. Usually I do about 4 or 5.
Okay. Yeah, that's impressive. I couldn't run 7 miles. I think that'd be the end of me. But
yeah, well, that's the thing. I started running a half mile.
Yeah, right on.
It's just you build it up in time. I mean, could you do blast beats the second you sat behind a drum kit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. It's like anything else. I feel like
it's like Dave Lombardo wasn't Dave Lombardo until he worked at it.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at pretty much anything, really. But yeah, I get it. So with the new material you guys are writing, do you think it's influenced by these crazy times?
Oh, some of it. Like, this one song that I actually was vibing to earlier, like, has been going on for a long time. But one of which was talking about our time in Mansfield, Ohio. And to be honest, that town, it's like a dead Rust Belt town.
Yeah.
All the factories left. and the primary popular drug is crack.
Oh dear. Yeah.
So yes, most certainly influenced by these like places and times.
Yeah. Okay. How many songs you got? Do you have like a idea for the project, or it's still like in the formative?
Yeah, it's like I tend to shoot for, because I grew up in the CD era, 14 songs an album.
Okay.
That's also my lucky number, but it's like, if you're going to spend money on music, I didn't fall into the trapping of, like, fits on the side of a cassette. I want people to actually have an experience, not that anyone has that attention span at all anymore. But for me, that's where I feel like I can tell a complete story, in different aspects and emotions. I'm not saying I write theme albums per se, like concept albums, but like they're definitely themes in my work, and I feel like 14 songs is a good space to elaborate on it.
Okay, yeah, I feel like that's kind of high almost, but yeah, that's.
No, it is. Most people do 10 to 12.
Yeah, right on. Cool. It's like the interesting debate now is like you see a lot of people just like releasing a song a month rather than releasing this giant, one big work all at the same time, like kind of constantly.
It didn't stick.
No. Because of you, or because you think people just weren't engaged with it?
Neither.
Okay. Wow.
Our fan base is very much more traditional than they are newer. Mm-hmm. So them having the attention span for one song a month doesn't exist, where they all grew up on albums.
Gotcha.
Now, if I were actually start doing like hip hop or anything more of a modern music style, I would very much release singles.
Yeah. That's what I think I had Greg Farley on. He was talking about some hip hop band from Buffalo that he's a big fan of, and they'll just do like 5 or 6 song blasts, but they do them fairly regularly, like they're busy, but like all of a sudden it's like you never go 2 years without getting anything from them. It's like a couple months and then you get this like little blast of stuff, and then a couple months and you get a little blast of stuff.
One thing I've thought about doing are EPs like that, 5-song EPs, like I can definitely do that at least twice a year.
Yeah. I mean, and that gives, you're never going that far between things. But then that's kind of exhausting as far as you're always pushing something, And there's like
I mean, this is 2020. You're always pushing something.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like, if not, it's like now more than ever, as a gig economy, you're either constantly swimming or you stink.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Has the writing changed now that Jess has been like more, in the band for a while? Like, how does that affect, like, contribution wise? Like, what's your process?
Honestly, no. Like, Jess has complete autonomy on their parts.
Yeah.
And I give the song structure, flow. If I carved out a spot for myself to do a solo, I obviously take it, but then I give Mouse ample room to do the same.
Right on.
And I let them put the track, like, hear the track, put it, like, bounce back what they feel, and sometimes, not even very often, I'll be like, make it more busy or less busy. That's about it.
Yeah, okay. Is she still with us here, or is she going to be a run?
No, I'm just sitting back listening.
Right on.
Totally watching porn.
Yeah.
So I am.
And I saw you were doing some like freelance stuff. Like you were off. People could send you tracks that you would play on. Have you gotten a bunch of work?
I actually just recorded some puts for our friend Alex Colbreth, who's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Nice. Awesome. That's cool. And you did.
Shit.
Oh, like Slavic stuff, huh? Because a lot of his stuff is...
Dude, I'm fucking Polish. Like, everything is Slavic.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, he was like... Because he does like kind of a bluesy thing, right? A lot of his stuff is like that kind of like... Right? No? Hello? Did I lose you guys again? Anybody?
We fucking, like, work traditionally.
I think you're cutting out a little bit, so I think I just missed what you just said. What did you just say?
I don't currently have an ID.
Okay.
So I'm trying to dig out and make what money I can.
Oh yeah, like freelance stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And have people been approaching you for stuff like that? Like you obviously did
a couple bites, yeah.
Nice, cool.
Our friends down in Texas, chill as fuck. They're no longer a band, but their lead guy, fucking Pat, hit me up for something.
Oh, nice, awesome. And it seems like a lot of people are getting into home recording and doing a bunch of like socially distanced projects and stuff like that. So it's a good time to have that stuff. Are you doing accordion or keys, or you just depending on what they want?
Whatever people want.
Nice, awesome. Cool. I'm excited to hear some of that. Whoa.
I haven't exactly been approached for any hot mandolin parts or lead guitar, so I'm thinking about maybe taking up a career in stripping.
Yeah, all right.
Get like my OnlyFans going.
Yeah, get a cam show going. All right. It's a good time for it. People are, and I think people are starting to get into like more like ethical porn, right? Is that a thing?
Oh, there totally is.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it still hinges on what was it? A really gross culture to begin with that objectifies sexuality.
Yeah.
But I'd rather see the person being objectified make all the money than the equivalent of a pimp.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking get them paid.
Yeah, right on. So what else? I mean, how's like the protest scene been going in Memphis? Is that been wild down there?
It's been pretty peaceful. Ain't nobody causing problems, but the
cops do occasionally, but that's what cops do. They cause problems.
Yeah.
But actually, the two people that I know are really fucking active here have taken over a plot of land next to Town Hall.
Oh, wow.
And made it into a public garden. Like in one fucking afternoon, just like fucking dug that shit up with a bunch of folks and fucking planted shit and was like, well, this is ours now.
Wow.
So,
all right.
That's kind of beautiful shit I like to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's amazing. Memphis is kind of really like down. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I thought Johnny was saying something. No. Memphis is kind of a strange place, right? There's like, are there a lot of like abandoned area? Like, what is the downtown Memphis scene like?
It's a little less abandoned than it used to be, but then there's a lot of parts of the city that are, or just like empty buildings. And likewise, there's
such a fucking unique history here.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this city. I really do. Now I have often talked about certain hipster social scenes in town, but the city as a whole is wonderful.
Okay.
I mean, like all cities, the government's corrupt as shit. There's a lot of problems here, but the architecture and the people are out of this world.
Yeah. And you have a pretty good like underground music scene there, it seems like, right? Like it seems like a lot of people like put a lot of effort.
Let's just say
not so much.
Martine and Stacy have done wonders for the musical community here. Yeah, and they're part of the Muddy family.
Gotcha, okay.
Like they've actually brought a lot of those people involved.
Shout out to the Peterson compound.
Nice.
You're just biased because we live there.
Well, it seems like a nice spot.
It's actually because they're fucking awesome.
And they normally do shows like when we're not in the midst of a global pandemic. They do shows there.
Yeah, Martine's been trying to build a space for a hot minute. It's outside the city, so it doesn't really get as much attention as it should.
Gotcha.
But
I mean, the counterpoint though is people can actually there's enough land where people can stay.
Yeah.
Like pitch a tent. Like the event a few weeks ago was literally like I'd say about half the people camped for they showed up Friday, were there all day Saturday and left Sunday. It was honest to God, it felt like a mini Muddy in that experience.
Oh wow. I mean, it seems like especially in this day and age with like what's happening with the pandemic, stuff like Picking in the Pasture that you guys have played a couple years, that happened for a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But stuff like that, like outdoor kind of spaced, camping, so no one's worried about drinking and driving, and like as opposed to traditional venues. It seems like stuff like that might be something that it's the right time for now, you know?
Oh, yeah. And likewise, you and I both know that the traditional rock and roll venue has been dying for the last 10-plus years.
Yeah.
And then a lot of what we do was carving out a space in less than traditional places, like breweries and whatnot, where we could still make music, but albeit at a turned-down level. And that's just the next step.
Yeah. Yeah, right on. Did you guys what was your plan for this year before all this happened? Like, where were you supposed to be right now? Like, I think, actually, you were supposed to be...
We had 8 festivals on the books, including Trapper Creek up in Alaska with Justin Booth.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And then we had, like, full U.S.
Ozzy down in fucking Folk Shit Up.
Oh, yeah, Folk Shit Up down in Texas. Like, obviously,
Texas guy.
Yep, Heavy Rebel, and a few others. We're looking to finally get back up to Quebec, see Fred Samard.
Wow.
There was, he now actually is above ground, has his own cidery.
Yeah, not an outlaw.
Jolly Rogue.
Yeah.
It's like, we were going to be in perpetual motion and make enough money to actually buy land and essentially do what Martina's doing and actually build it as a venue space and haven for musicians.
Oh, wow. And then,
and
then it all came crashing down.
Yeah, at least we were making enough off our last tour. We were still riding off money from our last tour.
Oh, that's great. Well, at least, yeah. Nice.
And what was ever in the PayPal, too. We're going to start doing... That's one of the things, going back to what you said about releases, we're going to start doing studio-quality, like, live sessions.
Okay.
And then putting them up on YouTube with a tip bucket.
Gotcha.
And see what that does.
Okay. And what kind of schedule are you looking at? Are you doing it weekly or?
We're thinking weekly.
Okay.
There's a lot of things on back at the homestead that we're working on. Like, I finally have a control room set up, and we have the space set up. I just need to get a little better lighting.
Gotcha.
I finally got this phone, so we can actually have a 2-camera feed.
Okay, nice.
And then, yeah, I mean, not this week, but probably starting next week. And then that way it gives us incentive to work on a new song with the keyboard set up and have it done. We're going to start with an oldie but a goodie song called Carry Me Away.
Okay, so you're just going to do like one song kind of thing rather than a set? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just do one song at a time.
Okay, all right.
Well, it goes back to attention span.
Yeah, sure.
Looking at all the live streams.
Yeah.
I have yet to see anyone be tuned in for more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair.
So why not just make it a little more digestible and keep it constant so people are paying attention?
Yeah. I think the constancy is important. It's like, it seems like Lara and Matt carved out like a little Monday night spot for themselves. And maybe they get a little bit less engagement than they did right off the bat when everyone was home, but they seem to be still doing pretty solidly with that. And I think just the constant that it's like people have this, it's become part of people's weeks to an extent. Like this is what they do
right at
this time.
Now, aren't they making mortgage payments? Like, I hope they're doing okay.
Yeah, they're getting by. Like, Lara's a hustler. She's got she's good at what she does. She's smart.
Yeah, I'm not even going to pretend. I got some classic hood rat swagger hustles going right now.
Yeah.
And we'll see how they pan out. They usually work in my favor. And I'm back in the town I've lived in before, so I actually have friends here.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that helps a lot.
You were doing some like distance, like work from home IT kind of stuff, were you not? Like, is that something that you could do in this day and age, or is that hard to find right now?
That stopped in 2015.
Okay.
When I left Boston.
Gotcha.
However, one of my clients, which I will not name, has recently gotten out of jail finally.
Oh, Jesus.
And that might become a thing again.
Okay.
All I'm going to say on that is, don't get involved in politics, kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think the kids kind of have to get involved in politics. I think that's the only hope for the future, isn't it? Like,
No, I totally agree, but that was more me musing about party politics than anything else.
Yeah.
Also, get rid of the two parties.
Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious. I feel like this I don't know. I've kind of like just convinced myself that it's not we're not in an election year where things are just gonna get fucking weirder and weirder as the months go by, but we are.
I mean, can it get more weird than a desperate Mitch McConnell pitching a second stimulus payment because his ass is going to get thrown out of fucking conservative Kentucky?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that like Mount Rushmore speech, like people are going to look at that 100 years from now and watch that and just be like, oh, well, why was everything so fucked up? And they're going to like look at that as like an example of like how fucked up things were, you know?
It's trying to be an actual fucking Nazi.
Yeah. It's pretty fucking bananas that actually happened.
All I will say is my gratitude and thanks to every freedom and justice loving protester who was there.
Yeah, right on.
Because the history books will also look at that too.
Yeah, exactly.
The people who stood up to this injustice.
Absolutely. Well, right. I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to cover while I still got you here? How you guys? You pushing anything?
I'm going to be pretty honest. Well, yes, there's that. I missed your chimichanga.
Oh yeah.
It was made with love, Kevin.
It was. Those days are gone though. That place is closed now.
Ooh, you're breaking up, and a storm is hitting, so I think timing is perfect.
All right. Well, it was nice chatting with you guys. I
fucking miss you.
Miss you guys too, man. You guys were supposed to be up here in like August, right?
Dude, yeah. Probably not going to happen, but hey.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely not going to happen, but you know, hopefully sooner than later. You know, hopefully things get back to something.
Yeah, it was Mountain Goats. I'm going to make it through this year if it kills me.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it kills me.
All right. Well, I love you guys. It was nice chatting with you for a while. Get back to your cider. Enjoy it.
Oh, I will tell it.
Have one
that
for me.
You look forward to meeting it.
Yes, absolutely. I do.
All right.
All right. Taillight Rebellion.
Love you, buddy. Take care.
Yeah, love you guys too.
Love you.
All right. Taillight Rebellion. I feel like it's our first multiple person call. I feel like it got a little weird audio sometimes, but we live and we learn, right? All right, we're here, episode 11. We still got Duane Mark. It keeps getting better. I like it. So we're going to play one of his songs, and then we're going to talk to him. We'll call the dude up. Let me give him a text right now and let him know where we're at. I feel like I'm almost, I'm like a little overconfident with the sound quality of this episode. I don't know how it sounds to you guys, but it's until the last one, and we got a little echoey. But all right. So Duane Mark just put out an album fairly recently, I think right as this was beginning to happen, and we'll play another song from this. It's called Letters to My Friends, right? Is that the name of it? That's the name of the album, not the song. All right, what's up, everybody? Actually, hold on one second. I thought I was ready. Get some mood lighting up in this bitch. All right, we're here. Episode 15 beers on Tuesday afternoon. Episode 11. We've Had Samm Bones and Taillight Rebellion so far. We're going to talk to Duane Mark from living just outside of Austin, Texas. I do this weird thing where if I have the control panel for the live feed on Facebook where I can see everyone's comments, but if I back out of it, I don't know how to get back into it. I can like watch the video, but then it's delayed, so I can't do that because then the sound is all fucked up. So I don't know. So I'll have to look at the comments afterwards. Fucking amateurs. All right. Duane Mark says he's almost done on the shitter, so be freshly, whatever.
Hello.
Hello there, bud.
How are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm fucking fantastic.
Yeah? All right. How's the quarantine life treating you out there? We'll just jump right into it.
How long am I supposed to laugh at that?
I don't know. You know, it's up to you. You can do what you want. Is it? Well, you got a little compound there, but you got a lot of people, right?
Yeah. There's 9 of us that live here full time.
So you kind of have like a community, so it's like even if you're isolating, you still have people around, but they're just the same people.
I'm a person who believes in balance, and what I will say to that is it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, okay.
It is absolutely wonderful to have people and not be isolated and just by myself.
Yeah.
On the same token, after 4 months of being together, especially some of those are my kids, and they have a life at school. They had things that they did, have friends, and all of a sudden it's all gone. And so there's been moments where we wanted to murder each other.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I get it, though. Everybody's got their pros and cons in their situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So have they decided with like school for the fall, like what's going to happen? Like Austin or Texas in general is kind of weird where it opened up and then things got a little worse, so it closed down a little bit, right?
I don't like to get into too much socio-political
Gotcha.
stuff, but I will say this. We, as a family, have been rather disappointed with how...
Like people's approach to it, yeah.
With how Texas has handled it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just... At least our school district, I should say. It's just been very... Just no information. Just all of a sudden, a week before they decide to make a change, you'll get that instead of months before. Like, hey, this is our plan. This is what we're thinking about doing.
Yeah.
And then before that, there's just a lot of angry speculation from people.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks.
It seems like because what kids go back like late August, September. I think even here, they don't know what they're going to do yet because everyone I think thinks things are going to be different. For better or worse in a month than they are now, like maybe it'll be a lot better and then things can just be normal, or maybe it'll be a lot worse and things will be back.
There's a lot of talk here about them maybe doing like time on, time off kind of stuff.
Yeah, like
track schooling where I grew up on the West Coast, but
where like you go a couple days a week.
At this point.
Absolutely. And you were generally like, what do you do normally? You're for the last few years, you do like about 4 months, 5 months, 6 months on the road. Like you're a pretty busy dude.
Hey, we average about 120 shows a year on the road.
Okay.
I try to keep it in smaller, like 3-week increments, and then go home for 4 or 5 weeks.
Gotcha.
Summertime with all the festivals makes that a little bit harder, but that's usually what we shoot for.
Yeah, right on. So that this has been a whole different situation for you altogether. I mean, it's been
that's where the laughing part comes back.
There you go.
It's been a personal challenge, I'll say that. And honestly, the challenge is just not to be a piece of shit. I mean, it's really easy just to get wrapped up in how I feel about things and be angry and and drink and be depressed and sleep for God knows how long. But I think some good has come out of it. I've been really focusing on my cooking skills and really trying to bone up on that, working hard in my engineering side of stuff for studio. I've always loved audio engineering, and it's something I've been chasing for almost 20 years now.
Your live set for Heavy Rebel was extremely well produced. Like you did a very good job with that.
And that was going to be the third part of what I was going to say, is even the video side of stuff. I've been learning a lot about editing. Yeah. Been working really close with my partner, Chandra Brill, who runs night kite design on things like the video editing. So it's been good. We've even had a chance to really focus on some things here on the farm. Like, I shit you not, I had a shed that I started building in February of 2016, like 3 months after I moved here.
Yeah.
And we just finished it 2 months ago.
Right on. Well, that's what I've told Lara that with her new place. Like, if their lives were normal, they would be finishing stuff that they've already finished 4 years from now. You know, like
the touring schedule makes it really hard, because then when you do come home, you got to get back to work and normal life, and that extra time where you would have projects. Your normal Saturday would be filled with milling through the garage or whatever. You just don't have time for things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just put it, when your album came out, like right at the beginning
January.
of this? Oh, just before this. Okay, so you got like a little bit of time in.
I got to tour on this for 2 weeks, and then we had this grand plan to take 6 weeks off and then really hit the road hard starting the middle of March all the way through November. And
wow.
Yeah. That
didn't
go as planned.
That's a whole different animal. Do you think, like, now that you're home, like you're talking about working on videos and stuff like that, have you been trying to push the album through venues? Like, if you're on the road, you don't have time to be contacting magazines or making videos for every song or stuff like that. Has that been a focus, or is that something you're thinking about doing?
We have worked a small amount on that. I have a managing partner in San Diego, and her name's Amanda. She's kind of helped us with some of that, and we picked up a few reviews and stuff like that. But I gotta be honest, I was sitting on the toilet this morning thinking about exactly that. Like, man, this isn't over as far as the COVID issue goes. It's months, if not a year, from really being where things can be back to normal for us to tour again on a larger scale. So I really need to focus more on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's super, super important.
Yeah, and something like, especially if you're doing video stuff, maybe trying to do a video for a song and then pushing that, to getting some website or something to release it and people to talk about that might, garner some interest, which I think a lot of us, should do more often. But we just get so caught, you don't have the time for it, you don't have, and then I think everyone thinks it's more important to just get out there and play shows, which maybe it is, but I think we could also do a little bit more press for ourselves because no one else is doing it. Traditionally you would have a label or something to do that for you, but we don't, and I think sometimes we neglect doing that for ourselves to the extent that we should.
I agree 100%. That's something that this time off, if you will, has really brought more to the forward of my mind, in that no one else is going to do this for me ever in the future. And if we're going to start really making some waves, not only nationally here, but in other markets like Western Europe and Northern and South America, like we've really got to start pushing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you can just sit at home and send press releases to fucking Brazil or to, wherever you think that people might be into it, and who knows what's going to happen. I think Australia might be I think there's like maybe an Americana market in Australia that like is
But I think of it this way, in a positive light. So what if we send out 100 of those emails or whatever form of contact that we're using, and we only get one back?
Yeah.
If I can send out 100 of those emails a week and get one publication per week, that's pretty damn good.
No, that's exactly. It is, and it does feel like, I think, futile sometimes, because it's like booking shows where your response rate is not going to be that great, because you're coming from a place where no one knows who the fuck you are. But
I think what's brought to light for me, I don't mean to interrupt you, is
not at all.
That at the end of the day, I need to do better of this when we go back to touring.
Yeah.
There's got to be more balance there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like we're touring so hard that we're kind of spinning our wheels on some level. And don't get me wrong, the touring pays the bills. Not having this record for sale right now has put me in debt.
Yeah.
But that's just a reminder that we should be a little bit more balanced in how we're promoting ourselves, because as you said, there isn't a label behind us. It's not the traditional way of doing it like we think of it, but it's kind of the new norm here, especially in the last 10 years. I mean, when I was in the music business in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was a wildly different animal than it was now. Things like MySpace were just coming to the forefront,
absolutely.
you know?
What kind of stuff were you doing back then? Were you still doing like singer-songwriter stuff in the 90s?
No, I came from more of a hard rock background.
Okay.
I really loved doing stuff that was more riff rock, kind of mathy type of stuff, where odd time signatures, a lot of really good guitar focused riffs.
And you were a guitar player, singer? Is that what were you doing in those bands? Oh wow.
Yeah, I still did that then. I played bass in one band, but the majority of what I did was the guitar frontman type of thing.
I would love to hear some of that stuff. That's amazing.
I don't know if you would.
Yeah. You got band.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
We sat down at the beginning of this pandemic, maybe a couple weeks in, and took time to go back through some of that. And I got to be honest, it was a horribly eye-opening experience. I mean, I started in a band when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 17 and a half, almost 18, we were doing some tour dates on the West Coast. And I don't know why the hell people even listened to us. It was pretty crazy. But fast forward into the mid-2000s, and we had kind of come into our own at that point, and we're starting to really understand stuff.
Yeah.
There's a big, long story about that, too, how that is part of what shaped me into being a singer-songwriter. I had a producer that just really, really pushed on me. He had us go back in and re-record the 17 demos that we had turned in to our record label.
Okay.
But he wanted them just with the lead vocal and whatever we thought the most important instrument was.
Wow.
And I got to be honest, it tore to shred the songs.
Yeah.
And suddenly, out of 17, we were left with 3 that were worthwhile.
Okay.
And that was a really hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest with myself and you and whoever's listening, I was an arrogant prick. And I did not respond well to that at all.
Yeah. Huh?
I got pretty pissed about it. And in reality, I shouldn't have, because the producer was very right.
It's a growth moment,
It was a very good live show, but it just wasn't a good record, you know?
What was the band called?
That band was called The Passing.
Okay. All right.
And you know what? I got to be honest. I've looked for it online, and the remnants that you can find of it are so tiny, it's ridiculous. But I got a box full of shit that I was thinking, we're coming up on our 20-year anniversary now.
Right.
I was thinking about maybe posting some of that just for fun.
Yeah, why not?
As embarrassing as it is.
Yeah, fuck it. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. You come from that to an extent, that had bearing on what you are now. So
right.
Yeah, that's always interesting.
There's no way that those days didn't shape me, just like you're saying.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. Right on. What was I gonna say? The new album you recorded in Memphis, if I'm not mistaken, right? And you did it with Tim and Sarah?
Yep.
And then Josh Stevens played drums, right? Did I see that
correct?
Glorious
I was
War.
listening to Swagger talk about Memphis there just a little while ago, and yeah absolutely. Those 3 people just made our world go around there.
Nice.
And then working with the producer Scott McEwen.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I feel like it's the best work that I've ever done.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
It's something that for decades to come I can be proud of. And I owe a lot of that to those 3 for really putting their mark on it as well.
To which 3? The producer... Oh,
I'm sorry. I guess I should say those 4.
Okay. So the producer, Sarah, Tim, is that what and Josh, is that what we're saying?
And Josh, because Josh even came into the studio last minute. We had another plan for a drummer that just fell through very last minute.
Right on.
And Josh came in and really saved the day for us, learned the music and the songs on the fly while we were in the studio.
Nice.
And just kicked ass at it.
Well, he's a great musician, and I've seen some of the stuff he does, that band thing where they do the full band show, like in a large theater, and I've seen some clips of like practices from that are just like, wow, you guys are fucking some good musicians that seem to
absolutely
do cool shit.
I love working with him. There was talk before the pandemic of possibly hitting the road together this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, that fell through, but we'll see what happens in the future. That might be something that we might be able to do.
With a drummer, huh? That's interesting.
I would love that. I know that's something that before we parted ways with Sarah, that she was a very, very big proponent of. She wanted a drummer so bad.
Nice, yeah.
I can't blame her. I love that feel. Somehow it seems like it makes it more danceable, if you will.
Yeah, no, definitely, without question. Yeah. Anytime we every now and then when we get a chance to, we'll do Red Necromancer shows with a drummer. We'll steal Matt and Jeremy from the Arctones, or we have this other young girl who's like big. Her big things are Against Me and John Bonham. She's like 22 and she's just a basher. You know, she's like over the top kind of like heavy hitter, and it's fun as shit to play shows with her. And it just makes it a whole different experience. You know.
Every time I hear those words, like over the top and heavy hitter, I instantly think of Dave Grohl as a drummer. Would you make any comparison there?
Yeah, I mean, she's more. I think she's actually a little more like I think she plays more than Dave does. You know, because she has the like punk rockness of Against Me and the John Bonham influence. So I think because Dave Grohl sits back a lot, but yeah, she's in that neighborhood. Yeah, she's a great drummer, Cass.
We had that band that I was talking about, The Passing. We worked with 2 different drummers over the 7, almost 8 years that we were together.
Yeah.
And the one that stayed with us the longest and was there at kind of when everything fell apart, his name was Douglas, and he got a lot of those cool accolades from people, being compared to guys like Keith Moon, and I don't know. I love drummers like that.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been getting into drumming more. I have like a little setup here now. I just ordered a Personas Audio Box 8-channel input. I have a 2-input one that I'm using for like this show. But now I think with the 8, I'll be able to like get a little bit better of a drum sound. And I've been like emailing some stuff back and forth with some of my married friends that like, we can't feasibly have practices. That's why we haven't played together in years. But these are like killer players that have good ideas. And now it's kind of like the perfect time for that shit,
100%. I have a Motu 8 Pre that I run, which has 8 individual channels like that. And man, that makes my little home studio go round and round. Whether we're doing demos or that live set you mentioned earlier from Heavy Rebel, that was recorded through that. And it's when you have 8 solid channels, you can take any 3 or 4 piece band and make it sound great.
Yeah, absolutely. What you had like
Tim and I were actually working on a project just the other day. And he recorded some drums here in my home studio, and I haven't done drums here in a long time, like years.
Yeah.
And man, it sounded sick. And all we did was just a kick snare and a really quality tube-driven overhead.
Okay.
And man, it's. I'll have to send you the audio file.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty gnarly.
What do you do? What's your approach to the snare recording?
Like the snare recording?
Yeah. How do you? Where do you mic the snare with?
I am old school when it comes to that. I just run an SM57.
Okay.
Just right off the edge of the top of the snare, and it's more to get some of the actual hitting of the drum than it is the rattling of the snare. That rattling of the snare resonates through every other mic.
Gotcha. Okay.
But getting that impact there, it's something that really makes those drums sound bigger.
Mm-hmm. That's what I have. I have two like nice condenser overheads, like very directional kind of looking mics that I'm borrowing from Goldpaw. And like the toms sound, like I don't think I need to individually mic my toms. I hit kind of heavy, so they pick up so nice from that. It's like my snare and hi-hat that I think I need to figure out, a better approach to.
When we did that, I was super surprised at this, but when we did that record with Scott middle of last year, he only put, I'm thinking off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was only 4 mics total, maybe 5. We had a kick mic, we had a snare mic, we had a mic that was faced at the floor tom on its head, and then we had an overhead stereo. It's a single mic that runs a stereo signal.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
And then we had one room mic on it, because I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of that room. It's epic. It's It's a lot like the RCA Studio B.
Okay.
And yeah, that drum sound just came out crazy.
Yeah.
We haven't officially announced this yet, and I'm probably sticking my foot in my mouth by saying this on a live show, but we have another EP that's already recorded that we did at the same time.
Oh,
and
wow.
It has more drum work on it, and especially more tom work, and holy moly, it's sick, the drum sounds that came out of that room and out of Josh Stevens.
Yeah, to get 2 releases out of one session, that's great.
Oh man, I went into the studio with like 25 songs, so we
How long were you
thought, we can't just put 10 of them out and scrap all the other ones. Let's record 16 or 18 of them and put out 2 releases during the same time.
How long were you there for? Like, how many days did you do?
We spread it out over the course of a couple months, but like the rhythm tracking was 4 days. I think we did 11 or 12 days total.
Oh, so you were just like coming back and forth between Texas and Memphis, like you were just going there
whenever it was convenient. Sometimes it revolved around tour dates. Sometimes it was just a trip up there for that.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Memphis, Austin.
That has a whole bunch of horror stories attached to it too. Like Tim and I went in to do the rhythm tracking with Josh Stevens, and Tim and I were coming off of a run out to the West Coast for a festival out there. We met up with Whiskey Dick to do a few dates, headed out towards Memphis, even played in Memphis the night before we went into the studio. And man, we both got sick on the way. And yeah, that was probably the most brutal studio time I've ever done. He and I were literally just sitting and sweating and coughing as we were in this gorgeous air-conditioned studio. We looked like we were going to die. How Josh and Scott put up with us, I don't know, but we got it done. All the rhythm tracking for all 16 songs was done in 4 days, and it obviously sounds pretty solid.
Yeah, the album sounds great. Your live stream was really good. What do you had? You had at least 3 cameras going, right? Do you have more than 3 cameras?
We wound up with 4 camera angles.
Whoa.
We shot that with cell phones.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. I've learned a lot about the camera stuff, not only from this pandemic time, but I've been studying it for about the last year and a half. And a lot of it comes down to making sure that your lighting's good, and a lot of it comes down to making sure that the camera can actually focus not only on that lighting, but things like having a gimbal or a stabilizer. Holy crap, that makes a huge difference.
What does that mean? Like, that's just like what you're putting the camera on?
Yeah, so instead of a traditional tripod or something, it's a motorized suspension and stabilization system.
Oh, wow.
You can get them for cell phones now for like $70 that are absolutely excellent.
Okay.
And what it does is it allows that camera, whether it's a dedicated camera or cell phone camera or the like, it allows that camera to be steady and not shake. That shaking is where you lose a lot of that focal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a world of difference, man.
And so you had those for each camera? Is that what was going on?
We had it for a couple of the cameras. A couple of them are just set up on traditional tripods. And if you really watch the video closely, you'll see some of it going out of focus when somebody like stomps next to it or something.
And what program do you run through to like put it all together?
For the audio, I'm really addicted to Motu stuff. It's something I started using in the mid-2000s.
Okay.
So I use Motu's Digital Performer.
Gotcha.
Or as us studio perverts like to call it, DP.
Mm-hmm.
And then I use After Effects from Adobe for all of the editing. It's probably not the most intense editing program that the Adobe suite offers, but it's pretty gnarly. And for me, learning and again Chandra helping me with that stuff, it's been really solid for us to work with.
Nice. Yeah, I've been using Shotcut to like cut up these videos, like to put them on YouTube after the fact. And it's not, I don't know, it works, but it's probably not the best. I think my laptop also is not good enough to run it, so it's very laggy anytime that I'm trying to use it.
Oh yeah, dude, that's the hardest part is when you're rendering or anything like that. Yeah. I don't have a crazy great laptop either.
Yeah, the video
I bought mine like 2 years ago, and I bought a good one at the time, but man, it struggles hard with that.
Yeah.
So it's a very patient game.
Yeah. But, you don't have to, how often do you have to do it? And, yeah, exactly. It's fun to learn new things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on. What else do I have to ask you? I'm getting a little boozy. I've been going pretty hard for the last 3 days, so I thought today was going to be not that boozy, but it seems like it's getting.
I got a question for you then.
You okay?
What number beer are you on?
Oh, that's a good question. 2, 4, 6, 7. This is only 8, so I think hitting 15 is probably not going to happen. But
I had to grocery shop for the farm here before I did this with you, so I'm a little behind, but
yeah,
I've knocked down two bourbons and 2 beers and a White Claw.
And a White Claw. Okay, so you're mixing it. What beers are you drinking? This is bourbon, beer, and White Claw. All right.
It's Lone Star.
Okay, fuck yeah, traditional.
It's Texas, man. If you get shot on sight if you drink certain things here.
Texas is the first place I've ever seen anyone put. We played a show in San Antonio. It was Tiger Piss, and it's one of those shows where you show up and they don't know that you're supposed to play. And we were playing with some punk band from Seattle who Iggy Pop had written their last album with them.
Oh wow!
So they were they had managers and shit. Like they were even more upset than we booked it through MySpace. So we are very used to showing up and not having people know that we're playing. But yeah, this band wasn't. But it's the first place I've ever seen people putting salt in their beer. It seems like a weird thing to do.
I was thinking about that the other day because you don't see a whole ton of people down here with blood pressure and hypertension problems. So maybe it's because we sweat so much we need that.
Yeah, is that a thing? Yeah, they're putting salt in their beer for health.
Let's go with that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I was listening to Swagger talk also about the weather there in Memphis.
Yeah, that's
fucking. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Right there on the Mississippi, it's pretty gnarly.
It's fucking steamy. Yeah, that's a rough spot.
But I kind of laugh because we go through that all year here. It never ends.
Austin's
even
fucking
when
weird.
Matt and Lara, you were here in December of what was that? December 2018.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not cold and it's always humid.
I've been in Austin when it's fucking 30 degrees for a couple days though. It's
weird when that happens. The whole entire Central Texas area will just shut down.
Yeah.
I remember it was I think it was the end of 2017. I was headed to a gig with Ryan Seiler in San Marcos, which is only about 45 minutes southeast of where we live here. And man, it took almost 2.5 hours to get there because there was about 1.5 inches of snow on the road.
Oh, wow.
People were just losing their minds. There was cars spun off the road. It's funny. And you see my tour schedule. I tour during the winter.
Yeah, you go up fucking north. You go into
Maine. I don't care. But watching these people I get a hell of a chuckle out of how this whole entire area, the kids, if they even think that there's a 50% chance of snow or ice in the morning, they just cancel school the next day.
Yeah, I believe it. And they had the Super Bowl in Dallas that one year where there's an ice storm and it just fucked up everyone's fucking life. It's a disaster area. Yeah.
As tough as Texas is, they don't deal with the cold very well.
Well, I think just the infrastructure, the amount of money you have to put into infrastructure to deal with snow is so great, that these salt trucks and plows and all this stuff, if it's gonna...
Kevin, I don't want to bring logic into this situation.
Okay, fair enough.
I know that you're right, but shut the fuck up.
Boom. Roasted. That drive back from when we stayed at your house in December, we had to haul ass. We left LA Friday at 6:30 and had to be back for a Monday night show in New York. And there was a snowstorm on, I forget which highway. I don't know if we were on 40 or whatever runs through New Mexico, whatever interstate there.
Yeah, probably I-40 up on through.
It's through the mountains,
through Albuquerque.
Kinda. Yes, I believe
That's
so.
I-40.
But there must have been snow the night before us, and there was just every mile you'd see a tractor trailer off the road or a crashed car or whatever, and it was 1 inch of snow. And it's these are truck drivers, so why, a truck driver, you can say people don't know how to drive in snow, but a truck driver obviously has to go through all kinds of conditions. I just didn't understand. Maybe it was people swerving in front of them because they didn't know how to drive or whatever, but it was really not bad conditions, and there were wrecked cars everywhere, and every rest stop that would have like a Subway and a Wendy's with like 120 people online, all the chips would be gone from it was like a weird disaster fucking thing because everything was so backed up, you know. It was like a fuck show. I don't know.
We got really lucky one time. We were heading from Seattle to Spokane in February. I want to say that was 2014. It was 2014 or 15.
Okay.
And is it Snoqualmie, the pass that's there? I think that's like I-90.
Okay.
And we got stuck in a storm that was pretty thick and heavy. Big snow, really, really, really sticking on the road. Thankfully, no wind.
Yeah.
But I just tucked the little minivan we were in behind a semi, maybe, I don't know, 5-6 car lengths behind it.
Okay.
And he was hauling ass going 45 miles an hour, and we just stuck there white-knuckled and made it over that pass about 15 minutes before they closed it.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
I'm thankful that I didn't get stuck at one of those rest stop situations.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a nightmare.
Yeah. It's scary shit going through like the Rocky Mountains. There were a couple times on that Setzer tour where we had a debate about whether we should go buy chains for the tires. And I've never put chains on car tire. I don't even know what that entails, but there were certain things we thought that maybe we would get to spots where we weren't allowed to stay on the road if we didn't have chains, you know?
Yeah.
I think that maybe in Colorado that happens. I'm not really sure. What's up with that cooking show that we filmed at Lara's?
Oh my God!
Like you know,
1,000 people are asking me.
It is quarantine. You've been home. What are you doing?
So part of the reason for learning the video editing is to make sure that I close that chapter of the Duane Mark saga out. Getting fat with Duane Mark.
I think that was a fantastic idea. That's
we've been working on it for what, 3.5 years now?
Is that how long you've been doing it? Yeah. I mean, part of me doesn't want to see it because you brought the bottle 151, and I definitely don't remember fucking most of it. So part of me doesn't.
So now I'm stuck in a place where it's all so old that I'm not sure that that's how I want to introduce it. So I was thinking just the other day about doing. Hold on, I gotta have another shot.
Okay, cheers.
Oh, there we go.
What do you drink? What bourbon you drinking?
Jim Beam.
Okay, nice.
I'm bored.
Jim Beam is hairy. Like the Evan Williams is like cheaper and just like a little bit smoother for some reason.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just old habits die hard.
Yeah, it's true.
So I was thinking the footage is all anywhere from like 1.5 to 3 years old. And I don't know if that's the best foot to air it on. Some of these bands aren't even together anymore.
Yeah.
So what I thought would be really fun to do is like a quarantine version of this where just get together on Skype or whatever kind of thing. Zoom's one of the ones that's picking up a lot of popularity now.
Yeah.
And shoot the show together that way.
Gotcha.
From our own respective locations.
Yeah.
Launch a season that way. And then come back at season 2 being
like the throwback
older footage and like, hey, this is where the idea started, because that would give me a good chance to get on season 3 at the same time. So
yeah, there you go.
It's still in play. We're still gonna do it. For those folks out there who've been with me for the long term, some of these ideas take me a decade to actually
well, it's,
really get it out there.
Like I said, you don't have a management team, you don't have anyone else doing it. You got to figure out how to do this shit yourself. So things do obviously take longer, you know.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something that's probably not widely popular.
Okay.
But I don't like to put out shit either.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've struggled big with the live streaming stuff. We've done a few of them, and it just looks and sounds like garbage. And we've even invested in some new equipment to make it better, and it's still not good. I would be $5,000 in the hole to put out something that really looks and sounds good. And
what do you think? I mean, and Swagger kind of talked about this a little bit as well, where they're just going to start filming a song each week and releasing that on YouTube. So what do you think about maybe doing 2 or 3 songs, 4 songs, maybe a shorter thing, and putting it up on YouTube, filming it not live, and then just being there to engage with the people, kind of the way Heavy Rebel worked? But just maybe.
I personally think that's a great idea. I saw Swagger post something about that like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And that got me thinking about that. And then the other thing I think is part of what makes live shows so great
Yeah.
Is to sit around and bullshit with friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes, the music is there, and there's moments that you'll never capture on tape and that type of stuff. But
yeah,
part of that magic is giving hugs and shaking hands and doing shots and just enjoying each other's company. So we were just talking about maybe doing a little spot, I don't know,
like a hangout thing,
where we just sit down for a half an hour and drink and bullshit with people on the internet.
Yeah, that's kind of what this has become to an extent. You know, like I started this in like March when things were crazy, and I thought like if I'm gonna descend into madness, I might as well document it.
Right.
But then things kind of normalized, so now I just like get drunk and talk to some people I know every other week. You know, and it's kind of, I don't know. I enjoy it. I think almost more than people watching it enjoy it. You know, it's like just nice to have conversations with people that I wish I could see. You know.
Yeah. And you know what? If we're going to be in the middle of something so intense and serious, and we can find ways to still communicate with each other, I think that's really healthy.
Yeah. And I mean that we have technology is so, there's so much shit. Like I don't understand how to do anything, and it's still amazing how much I've learned how to do during this. Like you can communicate with people, you know, farther away. Like I enjoyed Heavy Rebel this year. Like just I sat there, Lara had people over, but it was like I had my phone open with the sound off for our set. But just messaging back and forth with everyone else that was watching it. It's like if I'm playing, I'm not there to engage with you necessarily, but it's like if I record a set and put it up, then you can watch it while we're talking about it, you know, so it's like we kind of get both at the same time, you know, the hangout and the, you know.
It occurred to me during our set, that same idea, like, you know what, maybe once we go back to quote-unquote normal, if we ever do, then maybe part of that new normal will be doing some stuff like that once a quarter where we put out something that people can enjoy for 30 minutes from wherever they are in the country. Because even when we tour 120 days a year, that doesn't mean that I'm going to get to every venue on the West and the East Coast in a 2-year time period, you know?
And then when you talk about doing stuff like, you know, you'd like to go to Western Europe or South America or wherever, you know, once you start doing that, it's like, how do you even get, you know, time to hit half of the spots, you know?
Yeah, then you have to tour more like Bob Wayne does, where that mofo will go straight for 6 months, once a year.
Yeah.
And those places are all kind of spread out, you know?
Yeah, he's a special, you know, he goes pretty hard. Special individual. You writing any stuff at home now? How's that been going?
You know, I think I'm taking a break from writing for a little while.
Yeah.
And I want to say this very, very thoughtfully. That doesn't mean that I'm not collecting ideas.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that I'm not, you know, having little tidbits here and there.
Yeah.
We even did a couple new demos recently.
Okay. You got Tim's living right there on the compound with you, right?
Well, when I sit down to write, I sit down to write.
Yeah. Okay.
I take ideas that I've collected over the last 6 months or 2 years, whatever, and we really pound them out. Like I said, when we went into the studio last April, not this April past, but April 2019, we had 25 songs that we started with before we even started demoing. And I like working that way, because to me, when I work that way, a record comes out of it instead of just songs.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I like collecting a whole bunch of ideas for a period of time and then really sitting down and fleshing them out, especially when I get to do that with other people. Like, we sat here for the whole month of March in 2019. Tim and Sarah and I did, and I just presented all the different ideas to them, and it was like, here, what about this and this? And we worked out those demos together, and even the demos sound really good. You know,
awesome.
Because it was something that we took time to do. So all that to say, I haven't been focusing on writing right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, those other things that we have been doing have been more fun.
Yeah.
I don't write from from a big socio-political perspective.
Gotcha.
I like to write about things that happen to me.
Yeah, like more personal.
And that doesn't mean that every single experience that I have is going to be recorded. It also doesn't mean that every single song that I release is a direct account of what I did. I think I mentioned to you earlier, one of the songs that we put on this new record is about domestic abuse.
Oh, that one, yeah.
I haven't dealt with that situation in my own personal life. I know people who have.
Yeah.
But it's something that I faced a situation that was close enough to that's just kind of where the writing went with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've heard silly things like people talk about Johnny Cash not ever having shot a man and gone to prison.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like almost you can write about the idea of something, you know, like
correct.
Like most novels or, you know, most great works are not something, you know, that someone has done themselves, you know. Like it's not
the first track off of our second full-length record, the record is called Land of Opportunity and Sorrows. The first track of it's Big Gold. And Big Gold was something that I wrote about being on the road with people.
Yeah.
And how sometimes when you're on the road with people, you're a really shitty team. You're not not good to each other.
I know that.
Even if you're friends back home, you hit points where someone doesn't care enough, or
I've been terrible to people that I you know, so I have giant regrets about some of my behaviors, you know, during times where I was just so beaten down that I didn't have it in me to not be that way, you know.
And so somebody listening to that song might not hear that on the surface. They just hear this song about what sounds like maybe in 1800s gold rush.
Yeah.
But, well, yeah, but that's still, that same principle applies today.
Yeah.
You know? And so I love writing like that. And times like this pandemic, don't get me wrong, there will be pieces of whatever next full-length record I write.
Yeah.
There will be pieces that are impacted by that. We can't not.
Yeah,
sorry to use a double negative, but we can't not.
I know, absolutely. I mean, I've had that conversation that's kind of been a theme throughout these episodes. Like, what do you think? And this is before the George Floyd and the civil unrest, which threw a whole another layer on top of things. But initially, when it was just the quarantine situation that everyone's dealing with, like I was very curious to see what music would come out of it. You know, like I think sometimes like really dark times produce positive music. Like sometimes it goes against the way that you would expect it to be. Like not everyone's going to want to hear songs about staying home for 3 days. You know, you do a little more, things become a little more lively or peppy because it was a dark time to like counteract that, you know?
I remember the Columbine shootings and all of the stuff that came out of that, and you got to see a lot of those different things like you're talking about. Some of it was just very real accounts.
Yes.
Some of it was far-fetched stuff. Some of it was just positive things that came out of that.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, like just seeing how, you know, when you talk about like World War I and shit like that, how, you know, the 20s was all like the Charlestons, and I don't know, it just seems like different dark times in history, you've gotten different art from that. So it's interesting to think about living in one of those times.
And I say this very seriously. I'm excited to see what kind of art comes out of the intensity that's being focused on the Black Lives Movement, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
The foundations of a lot of the music that we play are rooted in the Black communities, and to see what comes out of this from hopefully every different skin color going forward should be intense and beautiful, and I really look forward to that.
Yeah, it seems like the time for, you know, protests, you know, it seems almost as volatile as you see everything like your Dylan or your Beatles or whatever stuff that came out of the 60s, or times where there were a lot of protest songs, or Woody Guthrie in like the Depression era. It seems like something, you know, or the thrash metal of the 80s. It seems like we're waiting to see what that is. I mean, maybe it's just Run the Jewels. Maybe they've just like, they're the voice of the generation or whatever. But it seems like we're waiting to hear whatever the music of these times is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and I guess I've never really thought about it that way until probably the last few years, just because I was often just somebody who listened to whatever came out instead of just being somebody who was thinking about, well, if I'm doing this, what are other people doing when it comes to not only writing, but how are we participating in things?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that type of stuff really bears itself out, and I look forward to seeing the good and the bad that comes with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I've seen a couple of like memes and posts about that, like, every dude's like photo collage art, exhibit about his time in quarantine. It's like there's gonna be a lot of like typical, probably bad art or whatever, but amongst that, I'm sure there will be some powerful pieces.
Yeah.
What's up with how do you sell your albums? Do you have like a Duane Mark website?
Yes. IHateDuaneMark.com.
Okay.
Is the place to go for all that info. I laugh because we've been struggling so much to sell records during this that we decided to put together some crazy merch packages. Like,
oh wow, okay.
We're shipping within the U.S. all 4 of our records for $50.
Oh, okay.
Because merch just isn't moving the same way.
Gotcha.
When you're at those live shows, you're telling people that don't know about it, and don't get me wrong, we're still, as I think we were discussing earlier, we're still exploring routes like getting more of that media attention to help drive those sales. But as we've been a little slow on that, we got to do something in the interim to pay the bills. So
yeah, absolutely.
Merch sales are one of the ways that we do that. Our core fan base has gone way out of their way in the last 4 months to help us and be supportive, even though that music isn't live there in their face. And we can't thank them enough for that.
Yeah.
But we're starting to get to a weird phase in all of this, for lack of better words, crisis.
Yeah.
That people aren't responding the same way to things like live streams and that type of stuff. So it's going to be something that we're going to all have to adapt to.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be patient with. And I hope that we can generate enough revenue out of what we're doing currently to stay right side up. I mean, worst case scenario, we'll find other jobs. We'll do whatever we got to stay afloat.
Well, you've been kind of lucky where you generally work a job while you're touring, right? Like, what do you work for, like a beard supply company?
Is that really lucky?
I mean, not lucky. Well,
I am thankful to have a job that I can do remotely. Even blessed, I might say.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what, it takes a lot of extra work.
Yeah, okay. So,
when I was in my younger years, I never really thought of.
I didn't mean to diminish that in that way.
I'm teasing you.
Yeah.
I'm teasing you.
But, the fact that you're able to travel and still have an income, like as a underground touring musician, like that definitely helps. Has that continued during this, or is that work slowed up, like because of this? It is
cut way back.
Yeah.
For a little while, there was some assistance from the company that I work with.
Gotcha.
But eventually, that kind of money runs out, and we've had to try to find ways to reevaluate what we're doing as a home, or the chicken farm, as we like to call it.
Yeah.
And not touring has been a big part of that. I mean, that's a massive part of our income throughout the year.
Yeah.
And I'm not crying. We're surviving just like a lot of our peers are, and it is what it is. We'll get through this together. I know that, like I said, the support we've received from a lot of our core fan base has made a big impact on that.
Have you considered making Tim start in OnlyFans from the trailer?
We've considered everything.
Yeah, okay. Or maybe
Come on, Rev Kev.
Or should I say,
I was going 100 miles an hour.
Should I say, how do we search Tim's OnlyFans from the trailer? Like, is that already in progress?
That I don't even want to know. If I was going to be involved in it, it would be very classy. If it's just Tim, I can't say one way or the other.
How does that work? Like you said, when you guys were in a studio, like, 'cause, he's a songwriter in his own right. How much input, like, do you look for from other people when you're like?
When it comes to the core of the song itself, I'm open to ideas, but generally speaking, I have demos done before I even get to meet with the people that I work with.
Yeah.
So, to be clear, I love music or input on the musical side of stuff.
Yeah.
I consider input on the lyrical side of stuff.
Gotcha. You're a little closer to the vest with that.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean I've been working on some writing with a guy out of Las Vegas for a couple years, and we haven't worked through anything that we're both like, yeah, this is it, we're gonna go with this. But I like that idea.
Yeah.
I just haven't found somebody that I really connect with on that level.
Gotcha. Okay.
But from the musical side, Tim and Sarah had a huge part in what came out on this new record. When it came to a lot of specifically their instruments that they play live on stage, that upright bass by Tim and that fiddle by Sarah, they really, really, really focused and worked hard on that. And sometimes I was able to be like, look, this is what I was thinking. What if we did this? But a lot of times that's stuff that was their own creative input there.
Awesome. Yeah, cool.
Which I love.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice.
I've done that in the past with musicians, but never on the scale that we did at this time, where we took that month and sat down and really worked through that stuff.
When you guys have been working together for a while, so I'm sure there's chemistry and there's, you kind of have
absolutely. And I think that's an amazing thing that we were talking about. The band I was in the early 2000s, that's a thing I miss, is writing more in that, I don't want to say jam kind of sense, but like you walk into rehearsal, you say, hey, I got this new idea, and then you start working that out together.
Yeah.
That's something that not having, I don't know.
Absolutely. I get it.
It can wear on you a little bit. Sometimes I think my material starts to sound the same.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you have a style, or you have a, personal way of approaching stuff. So yeah, obviously that's going to happen, I think, to everybody,
But I look forward to projects to inspire my creativity. Like Tim put out a new solo record.
Yeah, absolutely.
In February. I think it's called Snake Charmer.
Yeah, it is. It's a great
album.
I
got that right. Yeah. We did that here in my home studio.
Oh, cool.
And so being able to not only engineer, but have a lot of the producing aspect of it was a lot of fun. And I try to stay out of his way as a writer and just look at it from a producer standpoint,
Gotcha, yeah.
And it was cool to do that.
Yeah.
And listening to a lot of his material genuinely it's inspiring, because it provides a different perspective on some of the same things that we deal with.
Yeah, right on. Cool. Yeah, and that's a great album. Tim has like developed into like a very awesome songwriter and performer. Like that dude.
Yeah. If he just get out of my backyard now.
Yeah, is that it? Is there a timeline on that? He needs some space. What about your fiddle player? Did he live somewhere else and just comes over for Lucas? Is that who played fiddle for you for the Heavy Rebel set?
What was that?
Who was the fiddle player for the Heavy Rebel set?
Oh, Curtis Thomas.
Curtis, not Lucas. Yeah, Curtis.
Curtis is an Austin local legend here.
Okay.
If you guys ever want to have some fun and see some amazing bands, look up Curtis Thomas. He's a part of a number of different acts here in the Austin area.
Gotcha.
Most of them don't tour, but they put out some just fantastic music.
Nice.
And that was actually Curtis's first time ever playing with us. So.
Oh wow! Yeah, he crushed it. He did a good job.
He had studied the songs for some shows that we were going to do. After we announced Sarah was leaving, we had not some songs, but some shows lined up for March, and he was going to do all of our Central Texas stuff with us. while we figured out what we were going to do about a player for the road.
Yeah.
And he kind of had that all under his belt, and so sent him an updated set list a couple weeks before we filmed the Heavy Rebel set, and he came out and we ran through it once in the living room, and it sounded great, and I was like, okay.
Nice, yeah.
My kids came up and they were like, that guy plays fiddle very different than Miss Sarah does. It's like, yeah, that's the beauty of music. A lot of people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know the licks that needed to be there, and the rest of it is the creative expression of that person on stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get in a little bit of trouble with that from some of the, I shouldn't say trouble, but I get a little bit of flack from that from some of the more professional side of the music business.
Oh, they want this
where
to be...
a lot of times people are like, well, you play with a lot of different people and they have different sounds. I'm like, yeah, but the core of what's there is still there.
Exactly, yeah. And almost, I think it makes it a different experience. Maybe someone would want to see you with different things because it kind of like brings out your uniqueness by
Definitely
them doing different
compliments
things.
On both.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to keep a touring lineup, together, and work it out financially and time and mentally and, personality compatibility and whatnot.
Yeah. And it's funny balancing that. I mean, you know it.
Yeah.
And anybody who's toured out there knows it. It's something that you constantly have to work on.
Yeah.
I laugh when people talk to us on the road and they're excited about the fact that we've been together for X amount of months or years. And I just look at those people and say, like, dude, it's a lot like being married.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to make things work together. And if it really matters to you, you will find that. And that doesn't mean that just because something separates down the road that you don't still love each other.
Yeah.
What it means is that it's a challenging relationship and you really have to work through it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's having everyone's needs be met, whatever they are, financial, comfort, or artistic. Like the meshing of those three things is pretty difficult,
You take that and then add the fact that people only like to eat at certain restaurants, and this one choose their food this way, and this person has to go to the bathroom every so often. And holy shit.
It does become a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
We had a drummer that we toured with probably 3 years ago now. This poor guy had sleep apnea, and holy shit. It impacted all of us.
Yeah, of course.
And in ways I never thought of. You think of something like that and you're like, oh yeah, well, that just means you get less sleep. Yes, that's true, but this guy also falls asleep when he's sitting in the co-pilot seat.
Yeah. It just disrupts the whole process. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and you have to on the fly rethink how you do things just so you can finish that tour.
Yeah. And
finish it amicably, and then try to see what happens after that. Do we stick together? Do we part ways?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a rough business. Like it's a rough business, and it's not as lucrative as it used to be. So it's you're doing it. Most people are doing it for. You could probably make a better living doing something else a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
I think that the people that are involved in this, the majority of them that I see are in this because it's their passion. I know that's why I'm still here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I sure as hell ain't making a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on, man. Well, I think, is there anything else before I let you go that you want to discuss? Anything you want to push?
No, please follow us on social media. I was really excited to see that our new record has over 18,000 plays on Spotify.
Yeah.
And it keeps going up faster and faster. So we're really excited about that. I can't wait to put the next one out.
I feel like, and for anyone listening, following bands on Spotify really helps a lot because I think once you get a certain amount of followers,
whether people recognize it or not, the income that comes off of it is so minimal, but
getting put on other playlists,
exposure that we get there, it means a lot. And those algorithms that companies like Spotify and Google and Facebook and whatever else use, it's all about interest. And when they see interest, they start pushing it to
more
other users.
It builds snowball effect kind of thing.
Makes a world of difference for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we can show a promoter that, like, hey, look, we have this many followers on this thing, it's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I really want to push?
Okay.
Is that I think I should just quit music and open up a brisket truck.
Oh yeah, I forgot about talking about brisket with you because that's like your fucking thing, you know. And even you mentioned that earlier, you've been cooking a lot. I kind of wanted to delve into that. So yeah, what have you been cooking? Like, what have you been getting into?
The smoking techniques have definitely continued to be refined,
Gotcha.
but I've been spending more time on learning more about international cuisine.
Okay, like what kind of stuff you getting into?
Indian food has been something that's really piquing my interest. I found a new Asian grocery store here in the Austin area that's just incredible.
I think about the Hispanic market at the end of your road fairly often. Like way more.
They're great.
Way more than is reasonable. Just like the fresh tortillas, the chorizo shaped in the shape of a pig. Like I think about that place a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see the last time you were here? Did you see they have chicharrones that are like the size of half of a pig?
No, I did not. Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love that kind of stuff. And so to be able to learn more about that in the last few months, actually have time to focus on that instead of just falling back to the things that I
right on.
know already has been cool. Sometimes trying to learn those new things when you're super busy gets stressful.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been different. It's been good. It's been scary, man.
Yeah,
but it's been good.
Has. Well, I mean, hopefully, you know, you guys seem to be making it through. You know, hopefully we all come out the other side and get back to the normalcy.
Definitely.
You know,
thank you for having me on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for being a guest. You're great. I look forward to you seeing you again. I'm looking forward to you.
If you ever do repeat guests, have me on again in a month or two. I enjoyed the hell out of this, and I'll make sure we push it and tune in a little more too.
Yeah, if I can. And what I generally do is we'll edit this tomorrow and put up the whole episode on YouTube, and then I'll put each individual interview on YouTube, and then I'll put it up on podcast sites. So it'll be available to listen to. So
you can make sure that my episode said that Epstein didn't kill himself. And
well, that new lady just got COVID, right? His pal that I think she's in jail in New Hampshire and just got COVID. So it's like, oh, of course she did. You know, it's like
you can make sure everybody knows that, and that I didn't write One-Eyed King about Amigo the Devil.
All right, fair enough. What should I play from the new album on the way out?
Let's go with One-Eyed King.
Oh, I did that. Hey, everybody. I'm not sure exactly why it got cut off there at the end. I guess there must have been some delay in the recording or whatnot. But that was pretty much the end of our conversation with Duane Mark. Thanks very much for listening to episode 12. Everything should be up on the video should be up on YouTube and the podcast sites relatively soon. I think it helps a lot for other people to find the podcast if you subscribe to it on whatever site you're listening to, or if you can give me a 5-star review, I think that would help too. Yeah, cool. So we'll be back on Tuesday, July 21st. If you have any input about who you'd like the guest to be for that episode, shoot me a line. Sweet. Thanks again for listening.